Chapter 1931, 100 Meters Dome, Blood River. Chapter 1931, 100 Meters Dome, Blood River, Devil Island. There was only 100 meters left in the dome. Mountains collapsed, and the water poured in reverse. The entire Devil Island felt like doomsday had arrived. The countdown to death. People continued to fall, and those commoners who did not have martial arts training were completely unable to withstand the strength of the dome. He was crushed to death when he was born. The child bled from his 7 orifices. The entire Devil Island became a living hell. No one cares if they live or die. This was the forbidden land of gods, a land of exile. Who would care about their lives? The main temple was still the same. No one mentioned the Devil Island. During this period of time, he had absorbed millions of souls, and Zhou Tianma and the people from the Destiny Sex Hall were constantly helping him absorb them. His soul mandate was becoming more and more pure. Ha ha ha. Soul great spell. Soul controlling. Long Fei, as long as I obtain your soul, I can successfully cultivate my soul controlling. 100,000 planes. Main temple, what can a sovereign do to me? Destiny God was ecstatic. Other than that, the time for the Son of God to descend was getting closer and closer. Moreover, he was confident it must be Zhan Wushuang. During this period of time, Zhan Wushuang's main artifact had even fused into a state of pure fire emotion. Right now, he was already comparable to the existence of Powerhouse. Everything was waiting for Long Fei's soul. Destiny God Palace. Zhou Tianma knelt in front of the Destiny God statue. God of Destiny, these are 100,000 souls. The dome is only 100 meters wide. The entire Devil Island will be destroyed in 3 days. My lord, can you let me leave this place first? I swear to the heavens that I will definitely find more souls for you. Destiny God coldly replied, I haven't gotten hold of Long Fei's soul yet. Zhou Tianma frowned and said, Master, we are simply unable to enter the Devil Temple. I have already sent people to attack 100 times. They are simply unable to enter. As long as Devil Island is destroyed, Long Fei will not be able to escape death. You will definitely be able to obtain his soul, Zhou Tianma said while trembling on his knees. The 100-meter dome would arrive above his head in 3 days. Even if he had an immortal body, he wouldn't be able to withstand it, because this was a total annihilation. He saw with his own eyes those mountains and mountains suddenly disappear. Even a huge mountain couldn't withstand it, let alone a human's body. Destiny God frowned and shouted, If you can't enter after attacking for 100 times, then go attack again. The dome will soon roll to Devil Temple. No matter how strong Devil Temple is, it will not be able to withstand the dome's crushing pressure. Once Devil Temple breaks, Long Fei will definitely not sit idly by and watch, and at that time, he will naturally come out. Remember, if you want to capture him alive, you have to capture him alive. Aside from his soul, Long Fei's physical body is also extremely important. Zhou Tianmo replied, As you wish. Wait. The Destiny God's eyes flashed with a bright light, and he said faintly, I will raise their strength to the highest level. And you? While they were talking, the power of the Destiny God gushed into Zhou Tianma's body. Buzz. Zhou Tianma's body suddenly shook violently. A vigorous energy flooded every part of his body, and his eyes gleamed brightly. Destiny God said, Right now, your strength is even stronger than the 12 holy generals, so even if you meet those time laws, you don't have to be afraid. They are not your match. As long as you bring Long Fei back, I will open the door to the plane for you. Ha ha ha. Zhou Tianma immediately kowtowed in thanks. I will definitely bring Long Fei here. His current strength was incomparably increasing. There was a feeling that I was a god. The moment they walked out of the secret hall, the idea moved and immediately said, 12 holy generals, listen to my command. Target, God rare sect, Devil Temple, I'll definitely take you down this time. Almost a month had passed. The dome continued to crush, and the God rare sect was also unable to endure it. More mountains collapsed and disappeared. Not just during this 1 month, the Destiny God Palace had sent people to attack. Even the sweeping monk entered the Devil Temple. 3 great monks. He's not back yet, although the Devil Temple is strong, but they will not be able to resist the pressure from the dome. And in a day's time, the dome will crush all the Devil Temple. What do we do now? There are billions of lives in the Devil Island. Could it be that the gods of this plane do nothing? God, why would they care about a person's life and death? When they set up the dome, they already thought of this day. They never thought of the consequences. The gods are high and mighty. He would never care about the life and death of an ant. This was God. At this moment, Yen Nantian came out of seclusion, walked in front of the divine monk, and said, Longfei still isn't back yet. This was the 3rd time he had come out of seclusion. This was because he had already comprehended 3 types of inherited powers. Tianju shook his head. No, holy Buddhahood could have had a huge change in 1,000 years. It is unknown whether or not we can find a Buddha root to treat them. Bawang Hua also came out from seclusion. She was covered in armor, the weight of the armor reaching 10,000 kilograms. The divine power legacy was under control. Is Longfei still not back yet? Yen Nantian shook his head and said, No. Rumble. A loud sound echoed out in the sky. He did not dare, not believe the destiny god. Amitabha. The 3 people of Tianju's group let out a faint sound. Ju Qianma's eyes turned blood red, and he roared loudly, Whoever dares to stop me will die. His entire body exploded. A wave of energy that was formed to form a solid mass of energy directly blew the 3 great reverends away. And as he took a step towards the Devil Temple, he said solemnly, Longfei, get the hell out here to receive your death. You're not coming out, right? If you don't come out, I will destroy this Devil Temple and see where else you can hide. Bang, bang, bang. Suddenly, he accelerated. Ju Tianmo rushed towards the Devil Temple. He's going to charge in. Don't let him in. Stop him. Bawang Hua and the others quickly crawled up from the ground and rushed in front of Devil Temple, but their speed was completely incomparable to Jiu Tianma's. The 3 monks suddenly moved their foreheads and attacked as well, but all of their moves had failed. Jiu Tianma rushed to the main entrance, stared at the pitch-black Devil Temple, and sinisterly roared, Longfei, it's time for your death. Ha ha ha. He roared. He stepped into the endless darkness. Everyone's expression changed drastically. This is bad. At this moment, boom, with a loud bang, a body flew out of the darkness and crashed into the ground 100 meters away. A palm imprinted itself onto its chest, and its entire body split open as black blood dripped from the corner of its mouth. In the darkness, a man slowly walked out from the darkness, accompanied by a beautiful woman. Chapter 1933. Time reset. Chapter 1933. Time reset. That dog is barking loudly. Do you want the bones to eat? In the darkness, Longfei slowly walked out with Bai Lian. Everyone was startled. Longfei, Brother Fei. Ha ha ha. We're finally back. The 3 great reverends were shocked. They first saw a lotus flower rising from beneath Bai Lian's feet, then saw the Holy Buddha's light that was emitting a strong aura from Longfei's body. Tianju slightly said, This aura. Tianchong looked at Tianju, his voice trembling with excitement. The aura of the Son of God. Long Fei is a son of God. What about the Tian Shues? Could it be that we are protecting the Son of God? My God! They were extremely excited, and the excitement was incomparable. They could not stop it at all. Aha! Ha! Long Fei, you son of a bitch, you're finally back. Zhu Tianma slowly stood up, his cracked body once again condensed and fused back into its original state, perfectly fine. He had never thought of defending himself. As he stared at Long Fei, his eyes flashed with excitement. Zhou Tianma was even more excited than the three great monks. I've waited for you for an entire month, and now you've finally appeared. Ha ha ha. Zhou Tianma laughed madly once again. He clenched his fists tightly and said, "Right now, kneel down and surrender. This way, you will suffer a little less physical pain." Long Fei slightly raised his eyes and said, "You want me to kneel? It seems like my strength was a bit weaker just now." As soon as he finished speaking, shwa, Long Fei's figure disappeared. Shwa. Streams of black lines fell as Long Fei's figure appeared in front of Zhou Tianma, clenching all 5 of his fingers. A fist exploded out as he punched forward. Rumble! A violent explosion sounded out. The void exploded. A fist landed on Zhou Tianma's chest, directly blowing him up. Zhou Tianma's body exploded outwards, and a towering tree several hundred meters away was directly smashed apart. Bam! Zhou Tianma kept spitting out blood from his mouth. He had an ugly expression on his face. However, he continued to laugh and said disdainfully, "Long Fei, is that all you have? Too weak. It's not enough at all. Silver Star Fourth Order? Ha ha ha. This kind of power, it's too weak." Buzz. Zhou Tianma's body suddenly shook, and he stood up. The chest that was pierced through was healing at a speed visible to the naked eye, and it recovered in a few seconds. Long Fei took a glance at them, and then looked at the surrounding 12 holy generals, and frowned slightly. An immortal body? Ha ha ha. Zhou Tianma laughed wildly, and said, "Not bad. You actually know that I have an indestructible body that Master Fate bestowed to me. Long Fei, tell me, are you still able to fight with me? Can you still fight with God of Destiny? Are you worthy?" Ha ha ha. Mad laughter. How could he kill someone with an immortal body? Yan Nantian said. Not only is he immortal, Zhou Tianma's cultivation has already reached the Gold Star Peak realm. He is extremely strong. He is different from the 12 holy generals. He does not have the body of a real face. No matter how we kill him, he will not die. Wang Tai said, "Brother Fei, you must be careful of this guy." Ba Wanghua asked, "Long Fei, who is that woman?" Women were always the most sensitive animals. Looking at Bai Lian, she couldn't help but say, "She's so beautiful." She was as pure as a white lotus on a snowy cliff. And she walked on tiptoe, one step at a time. Bai Lian smiled faintly and said, "My name is Bai Lian." Then Bai Lian walked forward and said, "Let me try." Long Fei warned in a low voice, "Be careful." As soon as he finished speaking, the white lotus exploded on the ground. Buzz. A white line shot out. With a move of his fists, the evil spirit's power surged out. 6 paths of the 8 trigrams. An enormous gossip appeared out of nowhere. Zhou Tianma looked at it and laughed coldly. "You overestimate yourself." Shwa. Boom. His pure strength suddenly exploded and rushed forward. There was no defense. The strong power of destiny was violently surging towards Bai Lian, and Bai Lian also had no defense, crashing down heavily from the sky. Buzz, buzz, buzz. They were constantly going berserk. The two forces clashed together, causing Zhou Tianma's body to sink, and his entire body to be smashed into the ground. At the center of the 8 trigrams, a lotus bloomed. Shwa! It smashed down vertically. It heavily landed on Jiu Tianma. Everyone's face was filled with shock. Such powerful strength. This girl is amazing. Wow, who is this? There doesn't seem to be such a person in Holy Buddhahood. Moreover, why is the power that she released a little evil? He didn't understand Bai Lian. They also didn't know that Bai Lian was once an evil spirit tribe, but now she was a cultivation martial Buddha. Long Fei was secretly shocked in his heart. What a strong power! However, Jiu Tianma laughed madly, not the least bit afraid, as he said, Come and kill me, quickly come and kill me. Boom! The white lotus descended. It directly pressed down on Jiu Tianma's head. The top of Jiu Tianma's head exploded. Boom! Bai Lian coldly disdained. I've never seen anyone who wants to die like you. His head exploded. In this sort of situation, he could not be any more dead. Bai Lian also felt slightly relieved. However, right at this moment, Jiu Tianma's body instantly reconstructed, not giving Bai Lian any time to react. Both of his fists moved, and the powerful energy of destiny assaulted him like a landslide. Long Fei's eyes turned sinister as he shouted, Be careful! As soon as he landed, he rushed out. Bai Lian's reaction was quick. She had already reacted when he felt the fluctuation of a peculiar aura behind his back, but she had never imagined that Jiu Tianma could actually revive. Even an evil spirit couldn't do this. She had never seen such a person in the universal large world. The laws of each level, 100,000 planes, were controlled by the main temple. They are the ones who master the law. Thus, different worlds, different powers. Then again, the rebirth that Jiu Tianma talked about, the remodeling of the body, was only a puppet, just a little bit of consciousness. Bai Lian was stunned for a second. 1 second to the powerhouse. That was something that could change everything. Jiu Tianma's attack was about to land. Bai Lian was certain that she would not be able to hold on. It was too fast. Long Fei was too far away from her. Even if she used all her strength to catch up, it would be too late. Everything was too slow. Bai Lian's pupils rapidly changed. She relaxed. She did not think that she would die after coming to Long Fei's world. It was too tragic to look at. Be careful. It's too late. It's too late. Long Fei was secretly anxious in his heart. Suddenly his forehead twitched, and he bellowed out, Time. Reset. Buzz. A halo of light enveloped them, causing all the images to retreat rapidly, as if they were retreating. In that instant, he returned to his original position. Long Fei slowly walked out from the dark devil temple, with Bai Lian. His head was instantly smashed, and he was resurrected. Since he was in his original body, he definitely had a way to kill him. Boom. Take off your arms. Crack. His arm was broken. I'll break your legs. Crack. His legs were broken. Your head, too. Long Fei immediately twisted off Jiu Tianma's head and stepped on it. His left fist suddenly shook. The head exploded again. Jiu Tianma's body split into pieces, as if he was a 5-horse corpse. They scattered all over the ground. Resurrection. I want to see how you will revive. Long Fei frowned as his heart sank. Damn, he's actually not dead yet. I've already killed him to such an extent, and he's still not dead. The system did not sound. There was only one reason for this. Jiu Tianma did not die. What's wrong? It is clearly my original body. Why can't I kill it? He was different from 12 holy generals. The main body of the 12 holy generals was in the Destiny Hall. So, as long as they killed the main body, they would immediately die. Jiu Tianma's body was his main body. Why couldn't he kill him? The power of destiny? Buzz. An explosion resounded in the air. Jiu Qianma's body recast in the air. Those arms and legs that were chopped off by Long Fei disappeared from the ground. Jiu Qianma laughed wildly and coldly and said, "Long Fei, you can't kill me. I have an immortal body, so no matter how you kill me, you won't die." Ha ha ha. How are you going to fight me? How are you going to fight against the god of destiny? Are you worthy? Ha ha ha. There were no restrictions on the remodeling of the physical body at all. There was no way to stop it. Not strong enough? That's not right. Long Fei's power of Buddha, the peak realm of Venus, was simply unable to endure it. They had obviously killed him, but why not? At this moment, Bai Lian walked up to him and said, "Why don't you let me try?" Long Fei immediately shook his head. "You are not his match just now. You almost died at his hands." Bai Lian's power could also crush Jiu Qianma, but she couldn't kill Jiu Qianma either. Long Fei had almost lost his life just now, so he couldn't let her take the risk again. Bai Lian did not know what happened a few minutes ago, but when Long Fei said that, she was secretly grateful. Jiu Qianma laughed out loud and said, "Come, Long Fei, aren't you very strong? Weren't you in seclusion in the Devil Temple for a month, obtaining the supreme inheritance? Come on, come kill me. Let's see if your inheritance is powerful or if my immortal body is powerful. I won't kill you. I'll exhaust you to death." Moreover, on one side was the immortal 12 holy generals. It was really tricky. It was like hitting cotton with a fist. You would need to use a lot of strength to be unable to injure it, which made Long Fei very unhappy. Even if Long Fei used Blasting Fist in this situation, it would be useless. Ha ha ha. Long Fei, come on, aren't you very rampant? Didn't you threaten to trample on God of Destiny? Come on, if you can't even kill me, you want to fight against a god? Ha ha ha. How ridiculous. Jiu Qianma laughed madly. The Bawanghua reminded, "Long Fei, don't come at him head on. He just wants to waste your strength. He can't kill him at all." Right. This guy is already a monster. There's no other way. Just a moment ago, he was beaten to such a state that he didn't die. From this, it could be seen that he truly had an indestructible body. Long Fei shook his head and said faintly, "There is no such thing as an absolute death in this world. Let alone him, even the destiny god is the same. No one can survive. There must be something wrong with my strength." He had entered the holy Buddhahood once, and although he had been constantly slaughtering people, he also understood a few things from the holy Buddhahood. No one could survive. Lord of Buddha was the same. It was the same for sovereigns. The chief sovereigns of any plane of existence will die, but your power is wrong. The destiny god controls the fate of the Holy Spirit in 100,000 planes. It could also be said that he had mastered the laws of fate. Under his control, fate reincarnated and his body reconstructed. He could do whatever he wanted. Long Fei's forehead was locked tight. Jiu Qianma laughed loudly and said, "Come, Long Fei, you trash, come. Kill me." Suddenly, Long Fei's eyes flashed. "I know." Yan Nantian, Wang Tai, Lei Jiu, Bawang Hua, and the others all walked over to Long Fei's side. Sweeping Monk and the 3 monks also walked over. Yan Nantian asked softly, "Didn't you think of a way to deal with them?" "What solution? Tell me quickly." Long Fei said, "It's actually very simple. If you want to kill Jiu Qianma, you need to use the power of another plane." "What do you mean?" Bawanghua asked. Bai Lian immediately said, "I don't belong to this world. Can I deal with him?" Long Fei looked at Bai Lian. He had already tried it before the time limit had reset, and found it impossible. You indeed do not belong to this world, but you are already in this world, Yen Nantian said. In other words, as long as you are in this world, there is no power that can kill them. Everyone fell silent. Destiny God laughed complacently and said, Long Fei, have you given up all hope? You're right. In the ancient holy battlefield, besides the gods, no one else can kill them. Who do you think you are? It's not good at all. This is the power of my law of fate. Even if you control the time laws, so what? You won't be able to escape death today. Destiny God decided to eat Long Fei. When Zhou Qianma heard this, he became even more excited and said, Long Fei, did you hear that? You won't be able to escape death today. Come on, come kill me. Extreme arrogance. Since the Destiny God said he wouldn't die, then he didn't need to be afraid of anything. Very arrogant. Zhou Qianma said solemnly, You're not coming, are you? If you don't come up, then I'll make my move. Suddenly, Zhou Qianma suddenly moved. Followed by the 12 holy generals, they all rushed towards Long Fei. Long Fei frowned. He was still thinking of a way. The sword in Yen Nanshan's hand shook. Come, since we won't be able to escape death anyway. Even if we kill them, we'll be crushed to death by this dome. It's better to have a good fight today. Kill. Ba Wanghua's fists shook, and the 10,000 kilograms of armor on his body exploded outwards. Zhou Qianma laughed wildly and said, Ha ha ha. As long as I kill all of you, God of Destiny will bring me out of the dome. I won't die. Ha ha. Destiny God looked at Long Fei with disdain and said, As lowly as an ant, Long Fei, your life ends here. Tribulation? A great calamity for the ancient holy battlefield. That's not right. Being severely injured by the demons, escaping to holy Buddhahood was not a disaster. It was not the calamity his father had predicted, because he hadn't even gone to the ancient holy battlefield yet, and his calamity was the ancient holy battlefield, not the Devil Island. Thus, this was definitely not a calamity. The battle was about to begin. No one was willing to kneel down and beg for mercy. In any case, they would all die here, otherwise the battle would have a good time. These words reminded Long Fei. Table of Contents. Table of Contents. The Holy General was suddenly killed. Everyone was shocked. Holy General has an immortal body, and if you don't kill the main body, then you won't die. But now he was actually dead, and he was even killed instantly by Long Fei. The sudden change shocked Zhou Qianma. Zhou Qianma looked at the sky, and when he saw the halo of the dome, his heart tightened. Long Fei laughed. You can't kill him? What the heck are you clamoring for? Am I going to die now? External force. Long Fei resided in the plane of the ancient holy battlefield. His strength, speed, and cultivation were all restricted by the laws of this world, because this was a world under the control of the main temple. It was a rule they made. When you can't surpass them, you can't kill the monster they created, which is also the rule. However, since his own strength couldn't break through the law, he could borrow strength from outside. The dome was crushing down with extraordinary ferocity. It could destroy the entire Devil Island and envelop all the people on it. An immortal body, it was a joke in front of the dome. Destiny God's expression sank as he looked at Long Fei's proud smile. The anger in his heart surged and was extremely displeased. Long Fei grinned. Destiny God, speak. Why aren't you speaking? The monster you created doesn't die. As soon as he finished, shwa, he then landed in front of another holy general, grabbed his neck, and fiercely rushed up into the sky. Boom! It heavily crashed into the dome. Crack, crack, crack. The crushing force of the dome was as powerful as a thunderbolt. In a moment, the holy general was reduced to smithereens, directly killed. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing, holy general for obtaining 5 million experience, 1 million holy power value, and 1 metamorphic energy value. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for leveling up. Current level, Silver Star level 5. The two Holy General S leveled up. Long Fei was getting closer and closer to the Venus realm. He knew his mother had broken through the shackles of the Devil Island when she was trying to break through the Peak realm. Mother can do it. He could do the same. Destiny God asked coldly, using the power of the dome. Long Fei, do you think you're very smart? 2 Holy General were killed. Can you see how much the dome has fallen? The Destiny God disdainfully said, You are only speeding up the time of your own death. Originally, you could have lived for 2 more days, but now, you only have 1 day left. Long Fei did not notice. However, Destiny God knew very clearly that after being killed twice, the dome had absorbed the energy inside Holy General's body, and the speed at which it descended was even faster. In a short moment, it had fallen by more than 3 meters. Aha! Thinking of this, the Destiny God couldn't help but laugh excitedly. Long Fei smashed his fist against Zhou Tianma's body, firmly pressing his body against the dome. He looked at the shadow of the Destiny God in the dome and coldly said, This is a god. Everyone in Devil Island saw Destiny God. They had lost all hope, especially the disciples of the Destiny God Palace. They felt an unprecedented sense of despair. How can a god be like this? Shouldn't God save the world? Why? Why is that? Despair. As the dome descended lower and lower, they felt the crushing pressure grow stronger and stronger, and their hearts grew more and more desperate. In the forsaken godland, who would come to save them? Destiny God laughed wildly and said, In the eyes of the gods, you are just a bunch of ants. How many ants are there in 100,000 planes? It's not even a drop in the bucket for all of you to die. How can a god pity an ant? Ha ha ha. The word pity had never existed in the mind of a god. They were high and mighty. They control everything. They could play however they wanted, and no one could touch them, because they are gods, the paragon of this world. The entire Devil Island had fallen into despair. They couldn't fight against the dome's pressure. And similarly, they couldn't fight against the gods. Now, all they could do was wait and despair, waiting for death. Boom, boom, boom. Zhou Tianma's body was still in a berserk state, and the dome was also absorbing his energy nonstop. The descending speed became faster and faster, causing Long Fei to almost be unable to hold on. Let's attack together. With a slight sound, the white lotus beneath her feet moved, and with one step, she landed beside Long Fei. With one hand on Long Fei's back, she said with a heavy tone, Long Fei, don't die here. Boom, boom. Yan Nantian went forward. Wang Tai went forward. Ba Wang Hua also went up. Ha! The flying crane spread its wings and moved forward as well. Desperate Man went up. The 2 sweeping monk S went up. The 3 great reverends went up. The gold robe master walked out from the Devil Temple. And then Zhang Sanqian went up. Lei Jiu went forward. Mu Bing and the others also went forward. Long Fei pressed heavily against Zhou Tianma. His body kept on exploding and kept on reforming as well. The power that was smashing down from the dome was also getting stronger and stronger. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. It's useless. The appearance of the dome is precisely for destruction. Can you guys withstand the power of destruction? No one will be able to withstand it. Not even a sovereign will be able to save you. The dome is for the extermination of trash like you. Long Fei, you are the sinner of Devil Island. If it wasn't for you triggering the dome wouldn't have fallen so fast. This is all because of you. You're the sinner of the ages. Ha ha ha. Destiny God laughed crazily. Looking at Long Fei's painful expression, he felt indescribably excited. Ah, ah. Long Fei's right arm moved. The anger in his body surged like a volcanic eruption, and his fist smashed onto Zhou Qianma's forehead as he roared out, "Explode for me!" Boom! The impact of the strong force directly made Zhou Qianma, who was struggling, firmly crash into the dome of heaven. At this moment, Zhou Qianma screamed, miserably, "Master, save!" Not waiting for him to finish. His body was completely crushed by the dome, and in that instant, it absorbed all of his strength. Buzz! The dome trembled, and the sky above Devil Island exploded with a thunderous sound. It came crashing down like a crazed beast. He couldn't block it. He couldn't block it at all. At the same time, the system sounded out, "Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing Zhou Qianma for obtaining 10 billion experience, 10 million holy power value, and 1 metamorphic energy value. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining flame explosion. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for consecutively leveling up to level 15. Current level, Gold Star Peak Realm. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for reaching the Peak Realm and obtaining the strongest prize in the Devil Island. Ding! The reward is Chapter 1938, The Outer Tao, The Art of Reincarnation. Chapter 1938, The Outer Tao, The Art of Reincarnation. 10 billion experience points. Experience exploded. Level exploded. In just a short moment, Long Fei consecutively rose 15 levels, directly reaching the strongest realm on the Devil Island, which is the Gold Star Peak realm. At this moment, a system notification sounded out, announcing the reward. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining the Devil Island's strongest reward. Long Fei's gaze tensed up, obtaining the strongest prize at this time. I don't need any rewards. I only need the power to break through the dome. The dome was crushed, but Long Fei was unable to block it. All the billions of humans in Devil Island would die. It was just as the Destiny God had said. They were just ants. No one would lament over their deaths. Even more so, no one would pity them, let alone hope that the main temple's God would cry for them. No one. They were weak and lowly people. They were like ants. Long Fei felt bad, very bad. Why? Why? At this moment, Long Fei's hatred for the main temple soared to the peak. As long as I live, and don't slaughter your main temple, I swear I will not be a human. The high and mighty God was like a cold-blooded animal. What kind of God was this? They were not gods at all. They were merely a group of people who had won against each other in the ancient holy battlefield. They weren't worthy of being gods. Long Fei screamed in his heart. His hands were filled with blood. He had killed countless people, but he was not as cold-blooded as the people from Main Temple. Hearing the system's notification sound, his heart sank. Give me the power to break through the dome. Give me the power to break through the dome. Old Master, bless me. Thank you, Teacher Little Zay. He had never felt so much desire. He needed the power to break through the dome. An incomparable need. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining External Reincarnation Sky Technique. System prompt. One time. What? Outer Tao of the Reincarnation Sky Technique. Long Fei's heart tightened. This was one of the Fire Ninja's ultimate techniques, also one of the divine arts, but it did not have any attack power. Rather, the power of resurrection. What I want is an attack. Yet you gave me the power to save the dead. What is the use of this now? It's even F asterisk king one-time use item. System, damn you. Is this the ultimate reward? Reward my ass. Long Fei cursed in his heart. He was thinking that the system could give him the power to destroy the Dome of the Heavens, but it had actually given him the power to save others. It was a completely opposite power. To Long Fei, the power that he could not use to kill others was Trash's power. Rumble, rumble, rumble. The dome continued to press down, layer after layer exploding as space continued to tear apart. The mountains above God, rare sect, instantly collapsed and disappeared. All of the people on the Devil Island who did not have a martial arts training instantly fell onto the ground, their mouths spitting out blood. His internal organs were all corroding. Ah, my God, save us. Who's going to save us? Save me? No matter where they were, regardless of whether they were humans or the trembling demon beast in the mountain forest, they were all screaming for help, screaming and begging for those who could come. The God they worship, their God, none of them appeared. Ha ha ha, ha ha ha. The Destiny God laughed wildly. He was indescribably excited upon hearing the screams of the Devil Island, and then looked at Long Fei, who was floating below the dome of the dome. Long Fei, is it good? Did you hear that? The sound of someone screaming. The entire Devil Island is screaming, ha ha ha. How beautiful it is, ha ha ha. You want to save them? Do you have the ability to save him? Are you qualified to save him? Ha ha ha. Why am I so happy when I see how angry you look, how helpless you look, and how helpless you look? Destiny God had a complacent look on his face. Long Fei was definitely going to die. Devil Island is dead. No one could stop him. Cluck, 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 cluck. His fists clenched tightly, and his teeth chattered explosively. His anger nearly made Long Fei go berserk. He really wanted to rush in front of Destiny God and ruthlessly kill him. However, he couldn't even break through the dome now. Long Fei, the dome is descending faster and faster. Not only is it the sky, but the ground is also changing. This dome seems like a circle. It really has Devil Island trapped inside it. What should I do? Long Fei, quickly think of a way. Brother Fei, what should we do? Everyone was looking at Long Fei. Long Fei was the pillar of their hearts. If even Long Fei had no solution, then there was no other way. Long Fei shook his head and said, I can't think of a way. Ha ha ha. If you can think of a way, then there's something wrong. The Destiny God laughed out loud. The dome is destruction. You guys just wait to die, then disappear forever. Ha ha ha. Wang Tai scolded angrily. Can you be quiet for me? Damn you. It was really annoying. But Destiny God laughed and said, Are you panicking? Are you scared? Ha ha ha. Unable to crack. Long Fei's mind was working frantically. He was thinking, constantly thinking, how can I break this dome? There must be a way. There must be a way. How? The dome is round. It's a compression barrier. How do I break this barrier? Barrier? Compress. Could this be a formation? Long Fei's heart trembled. It was also at this time. A voice from the Devil Temple reached Long Fei's mind. This voice was very familiar to him. This was the voice he heard the first time he entered Devil Temple. Your mother rose because she broke through the dome. A voice rang out. Long Fei's heart trembled, and he immediately said, Old Senior, how did my mother break through? Since he broke through the dome, why is it still here? If the dome was broken, it should have been broken. How could it still exist? The voice from the darkness spoke again. The dome is just an array formation. The principle behind breaking It is actually very simple. Find the core of the formation. If I can't find the formation aperture. He did not explain why the destruction dome did not shatter when Mu Wanner first broke through, because he did not know either. Hearing this, Long Fei's eyes shook, and he immediately became excited and said, I know, if you want to break the formation, then use a power stronger than the array and shatter it. But Long Fei's heart sank and said, my strength is not enough to shatter the dome. What should I do? A voice came out from the darkness. Your power is not enough, and your friends, your brothers, your friends, your brothers' power is not enough, and all the warriors in the Devil Island. Long Fei understood. At the same time, the old man in the dark thought, Child, break through the dome and save billions of lives. You will obtain the power of faith. This is the beginning of God. Chapter 1939, F *CK, his main temple. Chapter 1939, F *CK, his main temple, the so-called faith energy, was not just pure strength. It was a spiritual power. They gathered together bit by bit, forming a river of faith, forming a sea. This power did not come from reverence. Instead, it was respect, reverence, and worship that came from the bottom of his heart. This was a true God. If he wanted to resist the dominating pressure of the dome, he had to ally with everyone in the Devil Island. Whether it was commoners or martial artists, as long as they worked together, they would be able to break through the shackles of the dome. Long Fei's heart sank. Then he looked at Yen Nantian and the others. Yen Nantian and the others looked at him the same way. Long Fei said, I have a way, but I must combine the power of billions of lives in the entire Devil Island. Divine Crane, you will lead all the demon beast in the Devil Island. Their power is indispensable. Yen Nantian, go to the Destiny God Palace and wake up those people who believe in the Destiny God. Lanya, return to Tianyan City and join the alliance with the people from the 10 cities. Tianju, Tianchang's speed is slow. Send them over. Long Fei said quickly. Seeing Long Fei's serious expression, Yen Nantian was also excited and said, I'm afraid those people from the Destiny God Palace will no longer believe in you. Lanya nodded and said, I'll go now. Boom. The dome descended again. Quick, quick, quick. Everyone move. When Long Fei urged them, the flying crane immediately spread its wings and flew close to the ground, constantly making woo-woo sounds. Tianju and Tianchong also brought Yen Nantian along with them as Lanya flew out and instantly disappeared. However, faintly, the combined forces of these people were still far from enough. The Devil Island was very big, billions of lives had to be united. And then Long Fei asked, What is the highest place in Devil Island now? Sweeping Monk said, I'm afraid this is the highest. Long Fei said, Understood. Long Fei flew to the highest point and almost reached the dome above his head. Wang! The powerful divine power in his body suddenly exploded. The power of the purple sun, divine power erupted. The power of Tathagata's hand erupted forth. Demon wings suddenly burst out from Long Fei's back, and each of the black-colored feathers became as hard as steel. Long Fei released his own strength, released it, and then released it back to its strongest point. His fist sank. Buzz! A burst of power shot out from Long Fei's body. Rumble! Rumble! From all directions, the area with a radius of billions of km began to rumble and rumble. Long Fei's voice also became heavy. My name is Long Fei. I told you that the sinner that Destiny God spoke of. You may not believe me, but please believe in your eyes and believe in your lives. Devil Island, the forsaken Godland. From the moment we appeared here, the moment we were born, we were abandoned. the cultivation spirit energy of the Devil Island. Our divine powers were not even comparable to the ancient holy battlefields. We'll always be locked up in this place. This is a cage. Don't ever think about stepping out. The God we believe in, the God we revere, has never appeared. And now, yet he just stood there coldly, smiling as we were crushed one by the dome, dying. This is God. Is this the God we revere? If you ask me, he's a pile of dog shit. Long Fei's voice was berserk. He used all his power to spread his voice, covering the entire Devil Island. Everyone looked up at the sky, towards the direction the sound had come from. It stopped quietly. Some people started to curse, but gradually everyone quieted down. Destiny God laughed coldly. Long Fei, what's the use of you saying all these now? Can you save the world? If you can save these ants, you can save them. You can't even save yourself. So how are you going to save them? Huh. You're just a slightly stronger ant. What can you change? You can't change anything, you understand? Destiny God was extremely disdainful. Long Fei said, "Did you hear that in the eyes of the gods, we are just ants? When have they ever treated us like humans? They are high and mighty gods. Why would they care about our lives? In that case, then what's the use of having such a god?" As soon as he finished, almost everyone in the Devil Island was roaring, "Useless! Useless! What's the use of having them? Fuck his main temple." His anger was ignited. Once a person became angry, the fear in their heart would slowly decrease. Anger could make a person impulsive. It could make a person forget all fear. Long Fei said again, "Right, it's useless to ask them. In this Devil Island's forsaken godland, it's useless to rely on anyone. We can only rely on ourselves. What does God count for? We were merely victors in the previous ancient holy battlefield. After breaking through the restriction, we were able to enter the ancient holy battlefield as well. We were also able to become gods." Wang Tai's blood boiled as he heard this. "Brother Fei, what do I need to do to break through this taboo?" Dome down. The crushing force was getting stronger and stronger. Enter the ancient holy battlefield. If he couldn't even break through the ceiling, how could he get out? He was about to die. But Wang Hua looked at Long Fei and said, "What do we do?" Bai Lian also asked, "What do we do?" Speak, not just them. Even the elderly and children were asking Long Fei, "What do we do?" The Devil Island was a cage. Whether you are exiled here or born here, you are not free. They want to get out of here. Every single warrior wanted to enter the ancient holy battlefield and change this damned world. At this moment, Tianju sent a sound transmission to him, saying, "The Destiny God Palace is already prepared. You just need to give an order." No one wanted to die. If their faith had collapsed, they would have to find another one. If Long Fei let them see that hope, they would believe in Long Fei. Tian Chong also replied, "The 10 cities are ready." Woo woo. A sharp sound rang out. Desperate Man immediately said, 10,000 beasts are ready. In that instant, Long Fei raised his eyes heavily, looked at the dome, and looked at the cold Destiny God above it. Long Fei roared loudly, "We are going to break through. We might die. However, for the sake of the next generation, for the sake of everything in the Devil Island. So what if I die? Come, break through together with me." As soon as he finished, Long Fei's hands moved and directly smashed onto the protective barrier of the dome as he growled out, "My life is under the heavens. No one can control whether we live or die." The moment his 2 hands came into contact with the barrier, Long Fei felt as if 1,000,000 volts were hitting him all over his body. It was incomparably uncomfortable, but his heart did not flinch at all. He kept roaring. Chapter 1940, Immersion, Anger, Chapter 1940, Immersion. Anger. The dome barrier was a destruction formation. Searching for the formation aperture required too much time, and he didn't have the time to do so at this time. There was only one other way: using force to destroy it. Long Fei was unable to do it alone. He needed the strength of billions of lives in the Devil Island, including flowers, grass, trees, demon beast, humans, and so on. Seeing Long Fei go forward to clash with him, the brown bone on Wang Tai's back slowly turned black and continuously climbed up like a gigantic antler. He rushed forward. He let out a loud roar. Ah! Ba Wang Hua withdrew the 10,000 kilograms of armor. His body was as light as a swallow as he jumped on top of it with a single step and flew to Long Fei's side. He smiled at Long Fei. "I'll accompany you." Boom! Bai Lian rushed forward. Zhang Sanqian rushed forward. Gold Robe Master rushed forward. Sweeping Monk rushed forward. Everyone in the God Rare sect rushed up and stood shoulder to shoulder with Long Fei, constantly using their power to bombard the ceiling. At the same time, everyone was enduring an incomparably great pain. Long Fei roared, "Heaven's End!" Boom! Tianju and Yan Nanshan's expressions trembled as they let out a heavy shout. "What are you waiting for? Charge!" Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Asterisk Yan, Nantian, and Tianju took the lead as tens of thousands of disciples flew up into the sky. At the same time, fighters from the 10 demon cities simultaneously flew into the air and similarly won. The 10,000 beasts roared. In the mountain ranges, in all directions, the demon beasts all rushed to the highest point. The sky was pitch black. However, this black mass was a drop in the ocean for the entire Devil Island. It was not enough. Furthermore, the dome didn't stop falling. It crazily pressed down, simply unable to withstand the pressure. Destiny God laughed loudly. "Ha ha ha, ha ha ha. An ant is an ant. You want to fight against the heavens? Don't you guys know what you are? You want to defy the heavens. Ha ha ha. You lowly ants. Do you think that Long Fei can lead you to break through the dome? He will only bring you all quickly to death. Ha ha ha." Laughing, he laughed proudly. Long Fei's fists never stopped. He continuously attacked with his strength and used his shoulders to firmly withstand the attack. Their strength was too low now. The dome was so huge, it was impossible for people like them to withstand it. Moreover, at the same time, people continued to fall from the sky. They were crushed by the powerful force coming from the dome, and their minds were broken as they died. It was like a moth flying into a flame. It fell down onto the ground. Long Fei had done everything he could, and now they could only rely on themselves. Rumble, rumble, rumble. The more energy the dome absorbed, the faster it could fall. It was completely unable to withstand it. Wang Tai roared, "What are you waiting for? Let's attack together. Even if you don't want to think about it for your own sake, you should think about it for your family. If we are trapped under this dome, will we still be able to live? Since I can't live, why not give it a try? What are you waiting for? Fight." Wang Tai's face was black. All the bones in his body felt as though they were being broken. The demonic strength in his body crazily attacked as he roared. Destiny God laughed out loud. There is no one who isn't afraid of death. There is no one who doesn't want to live 1 second longer. Look at you people. All you do is increase the speed of death. Long Fei, do you feel good now? Look at the billions of lives in Devil Island. How many people are there to help you? Ha ha. You want to change the world. Can you do it? Do you have the ability to do that? A little star dares to compete with how you are overestimating yourself. Destiny God laughed in disdain. Long Fei stared at Destiny God with a dark expression and said, There will be a day when I will explode you to death. One day. Ah. Ha ha ha. Destiny God laughed. You're going to die. Where did that day come from? Buzz. Suddenly, Devil Temple slightly moved. A wave of Buddhist light shot out. The Tian Shu took a step forward and looked at Long Fei, who was in the sky. Buzz. With a single step, the Buddhist light enveloped Long Fei and the others, reducing the pain of Long Fei and the others being crushed under the dome by half. At the same time, the Tian Shu's body erupted with a ray of holy Buddha light and rushed towards the dome. Boom! He also took it head-on. The space between Destiny God's eyebrows trembled. The Buddha of holy Buddhahood. All right, give me another powerful soul. Ha ha ha. At this time, Long Fei looked at the Tian Shu. The Tian Shu said, I have brought what you wanted, right inside the Devil Temple. According to what you said, I will let them devour the power of 100,000 inheritance. Long Fei asked in a low voice, How much longer do we need? The Tian Shu said, It should take some time. Bai Lian asked, What is it? Long Fei grinned, You'll know in a while. Boom. Rumble. The dome pressed down again, causing the Buddhist light on Long Fei and the others to crack. The further down the dome, the stronger the force becomes. The people from the Destiny God Palace are almost unable to hold on any longer. I'm afraid the people from the 10 demon cities have all... This kind of powerful, crushing force was unbearable even for Long Fei, who had the peak realm of Venus, let alone other warriors. 12 Hell Reapers. Get out! Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Asterisk one after another Hell Reaper rushed out. Boom, boom, boom. They all flew in 12 different directions, instantly reaching the ceiling. At the same time, Long Fei moved once again. Along, I need your giant clan's help. Along said excitedly, We are also members of the Devil Island. We should also do our best for the Devil Island. We also want to go against the heavens. The spatial space moved. Boom, boom, boom. 108 giant clans rushed out. They stood up and used their hands to prop themselves up against the dome. For a moment, the descent of the dome slowed. The strength of the giant clan was incomparably great, and with the addition of their gigantic bodies, they used their strongest giant strength to forcefully block the dome. But it was only temporary. Every single giant clan was in a state of difficulty. However, although it was only temporary, it gave the people from Devil Island hope and excitement. Destiny God's eyes turned cold as he said, I never thought that the first clan in Devil Island that was abandoned by the gods, the giant tribe, is still alive in this world. Long Fei, I have to say, you really have some ability. To think that even giant clan would listen to your command. However, Destiny God laughed coldly. Suddenly, the power from Destiny God's body suddenly moved, and the strong force of the fate will heavily smash down, as if a gigantic pillar of light had descended from the sky. Rumble! Rumble! The dome sank. Bang! 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 The 108 giant clans were crushed to the point of kneeling on the ground, feeling incomparable pain. Destiny God laughed coldly. Giant clan? Ha ha ha. Nothing much. Chapter 1941, Ultimate Boxing. Chapter 1941, Ultimate Boxing. Long Fei wanted to curse. He wanted to kill Destiny God. He wanted to kill him more than ever. If the Destiny God's power was unleashed, even 100 giants would not be able to withstand it. And Long Fei himself was startled. Too powerful. Destiny God, on the other hand, continued to laugh complacently. Long Fei, is this great? Ha ha ha. So what if you're a giant clan? So what if you're a Hell Reaper? What can it change? Nothing can change anything. Do you think getting these monsters is defying the heavens' will? Stop dreaming. You can't change anything. Just a little ant. Do you understand? The destiny god laughed out arrogantly. Long Fei was already powerless to reverse the situation. There were fewer and fewer willing to die for him. Everyone on the Devil Island felt despair. Giant Clan's appearance gave them a sliver of hope, but Destiny God's move instantly plunged them into an abyss of despair. Boom, boom. Giant Clan knelt on the ground and used all of his strength to resist, but as their knees slowly seeped into the ground, their bodies also started to sink deeper and deeper. From the height of the first 100 meters, there were only a few dozen meters left. Mountains collapsed and rivers flowed backwards. The entire Devil Island was being split apart. The dome was visible to the naked eye. Not only that, the dome under the ground was also rising crazily. Devil Island. They would be crushed into dust. Feeling good, Destiny God laughed crazily. Are you not happy? If you don't like it, then just give it a try. Boom. Another blast of the power of destiny landed on the dome, causing it to plummet. Boom. Giant Clan's hands could not resist. The dome of death was crushing their shoulders. Blood spewed out of his mouth. Ha ha ha. Giant Clan, kneel before me and tremble. You were abandoned by the gods 10,000 years ago. You have no right to live in this world at all. Today, I will annihilate your entire clan, because you've chosen the wrong master. Rumble. Another wave of destiny energy came crushing down. Giant Clan carried it on his shoulder tightly as he spat out blood continuously, his face incomparably pale. Along looked at Long Fei and said, Young master, our Giant Clan will definitely not take even half a step back. For you. Even if he was kneeling on the ground, even if his head was lowered. However, they did not give up. Even if they were to die on their knees, they would still use their own bodies to withstand it, because this was their choice. Long Fei brought them out of the abyss, and they would do anything for Long Fei, even if it meant death. Long Fei's heart felt unspeakably uncomfortable. Destiny God crazily attacked the dome as he laughed maniacally. Long Fei looked at him and stared fixedly at him. Her eyes were completely bloodshot, but there was nothing to be done now. He could only continuously bombard the dome. Long Fei roared, Power! I need stronger power. Give me power! The system did not respond. The dragon-shaped mark did not respond. The Sleeping Beauty did not respond. The old man's voice from the Devil Temple also did not respond. It was as if, at this moment, everyone that Long Fei could rely on disappeared. At this moment, a yellow star realm child rushed into the sky and shouted, For Long Fei! Boom! He took it head on. When it hit the dome, it was instantly killed by the dome's crushing force. But this action touched upon the nerve in everyone's hearts. For Long Fei. For him. For Long Fei. It was as if they had all gone mad. One by one, they rushed into the sky. Regardless of whether it was the elderly, women, or children, they all soared into the sky. At this moment, those wounded warriors and those who had despaired for their lives were ignited once again. The entire Devil Island was blotting out the sky and covering the earth. At this moment, the billions of lives on Devil Island all resisted, and they went forward to fight it one after another. Nothing. All of them shouted, For Long Fei! Immediately, there was a black mass under the dome. Humans and beasts were united to defend themselves. Ha ha ha! Wang Tai laughed excitedly. 8 billion people moving together. What kind of feat is that? Then, he looked at Long Fei and said, For Long Fei! Boom! Wang Tai smashed his head against it, but Wang Hua looked at Long Fei and gave a shallow smile. For Long Fei! Boom. He also crashed into the wall. The sky was densely packed with people. At the same time, there were people falling from the sky and dying. Everyone was fighting with their lives. Giant clan fell one by one, but they still carried it with their bodies. 12 Hell Reapers spat out blood one after another, but they did not retreat even half a step. At this moment, Long Fei's heart felt as if it was pierced through with 1,000 holes, and that kind of discomfort couldn't be expressed with any words. Pain. Long Fei was in great pain, but he knew that now was not the time to be in pain. He could not let anyone die in vain. He wanted the 100,000 planes to let the high gods of the main temple remember the names of each and every one of them. He wanted to defy the heavens, change the world. Suddenly, Long Fei looked at the Tian Shu and asked, "Are you done yet?" The Tian Shu clasped her hands together and said faintly, "The 100,000 inheritances should be more or less swallowed by them." "All right." Long Fei let out a heavy roar, looked at the dome that had been slightly raised, and controlled the idea. Evil spirit, Ant King, devour the heavens. Rumble! Devil Temple suddenly exploded. A mass of shining black ants. Millions of them shot out and rushed towards the dome, crazily devouring everything in their path. At the same time, Long Fei's idea kept searching. He had to find the weakest spot. There must be a weak spot. People can't find it, but, however, the man-eating ants, led by the evil spirit Ant King, were able to discover that after devouring 100,000 of their inheritances, they had become even more powerful. Long Fei crazily accepted the message from the Ant King. Suddenly, all the man-eating ants gathered in one place. Long Fei shouted in a serious tone, "Fuck! I finally found it." In that instant, Long Fei moved. Fusion, flame explosion. Fusion, purple sun divine power. Fuse all of my secret arts. Ding. Blasting Fist has gained 100,000 experience points. Level up. Ding. Blasting Fist leveled up. Ding. Blasting Fist leveling up. Other than the cultivation technique, Long Fei had also fused all of the cultivation techniques he had cultivated in, regardless of what they were. This was his only chance. The Blasting Fist was also his only chance. If he couldn't break it, he would die. His fraternity was dead. The billions of citizens in Devil Island would die. Ding. Congratulations, Blasting Fist has leveled up. Current level, 10. Ultimate Boxing. Chapter 1942, I was going to blow him up. Chapter 1942, I was going to blow him up, boom. Following the fall of the system beep, the power on Long Fei's arm suddenly began to shake greatly. His arms trembled. This was even fiercer than if Lu Fei had blocked 8 attacks. Strength. Immense strength. Long Fei's eyes darkened, feeling the power of the ultimate boxing, looking at the dome, and looking at the destiny god above the poor lands. His fists sank. Rumble! Rumble! On his left and right arms, scarlet-red strength stripes crazily rampaged outwards. Long Fei's entire being seemed to have fallen into a state of madness. His fists moved. Boom! Blasting Fist. Long Fei leapt forward and rushed towards the cannibal fish to find the weakest spot. At the same time, tens of thousands of people were crushed to death by the dome. The sky looked like it was raining corpses, falling down one by one. At the same time, more and more energy was being absorbed from the dome, and the dome was falling faster and faster. Let's go all out. I'm giving it my all. In the end, everyone on the Devil Island let out angry roars. As they advanced forward, no one dared to retreat. He was going to die anyway. Why not be a bit more heroic? Destiny God laughed coldly. An ant is an ant. Have you ever fought before? What are you guys? trash, very contemptuous. These people couldn't even withstand the pressure of the dome. All of them would die, and he would wait here to harvest souls. What is a god? What are you? Who was standing proudly under the dome stared intently at the destiny god, who was on top of the dome. His fists suddenly pressed against the dome. Destiny god looked at Long Fei with disdain and said, Long Fei, what are you then? An ant? Trash? Ha ha ha. You are unwilling to be an ant, but you are unable to change anything and can only be ruthlessly stepped on by me. Is that so? The corner of Long Fei's mouth drew back. In this instant, he roared in his heart, Ultimate boxing, break for me. A powerful force burst out from his fist. Boom. With just a thought, Long Fei inserted both of his fists into the dome of the building. Wung, wung, wung. Both of his fists sank into the dome, and at the same time, Long Fei felt an incomparably strong power from the ultimate boxing being released from within the dome. Rumble! The huge thunder shook the sky. In that instant, the dome came to an abrupt halt. Moreover, cracks appeared densely in the sky, and light rays were repeatedly shot out from the cracks. The pressure on the dome weakened, finally disappearing. The descent of the dome stopped. Everything around them seemed to have stopped moving. The dome's cracked. The dome stopped falling. Are we saved? It's Long Fei! It's Long Fei! Everyone turned to look at Long Fei, only to see him sticking his hands into the ceiling. His entire body was drenched in cold sweat, and the pain he was enduring was unimaginable. Destiny God's forehead turned sinister. His heart was shaken. He never thought that Long Fei would actually be able to cause the dome of the dome to crack with his own strength. How could he possess such powerful strength? Unimaginable terror. However, Destiny God laughed coldly. Breaking the dome? Ha ha ha. Long Fei, you are still a little short. While they were talking, the energy aura on Destiny God's body started to surge. The aura within a radius of millions of kilometers started to swirl frantically, forming a huge energy swirl. Destiny God stood in the middle of the vortex, disdainfully laughing. Long Fei, you've lost. Push on it. The vortex of energy came crashing down. The dome was only cracked and had yet to shatter. It still had a powerful crushing force. As long as it was crushed by an external force, the dome would also come crashing down, 10 meters above the ground. Everyone in the Devil Island will die. At this moment, everyone on the Devil Island fell into despair once more. It was as if there was not a trace of light in the darkness. Long Fei, be careful. Brother Fei, Long Fei. All of their powers were aimed at Long Fei. Moreover, he was stuck in the dome with his fists, unable to move. He bore the brunt of it. Destiny God laughed arrogantly. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. Long Fei, tremble. The moment the energy vortex came crashing down, Long Fei grinned and said, The one trembling is you. The vortex touched the dome. Long Fei roared, Explode for me. The power of the ultimate boxing exploded along with it. Just now, he was only releasing the power of blasting fist in the dome, and just releasing that made the dome crack. Long Fei used his force to extend to every corner of the dome. At this moment, exploding forth, rumble, rumble, rumble. The sky and earth shook. The area within trillions of km was filled with tremors. It was incomparably strong. It was also at this time, fragments of the dome began to fall off one by one, slowly turning into a faint glow that slowly disappeared into the sky. It was as if starlight was sprinkling down from the heavens. He had never seen such a beautiful scene. Everyone looked up at the sky, watching the beautiful sight. At this moment, what they saw was not only beautiful scenery, but also freedom. rebirth. And that throbbing heart, it was as if he had been liberated. It broke. The dome is broken. Ha ha ha. The dome was destroyed by Long Fei. We are saved. We are saved. We no longer have to live in the Devil Island. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. Cheers. Everyone was cheering. Tears of joy. Never thought of this day. Father, did you see that? Master Long Fei broke the dome, so we can leave Devil Island. A young man hugged his father, tears flowing uncontrollably down his face. Not just him. Many people were hugging the corpses of their loved ones. The reason they could leave was all because of Long Fei, and also because of these dead people. Tens of millions of people and demon beasts died under the pressure of the dome. Because of their deaths, the dome could fight back. And because of their deaths, these people were still alive. Where's Brother Fei? Where's Long Fei? Where did he go? Where did he go? After the violent explosion, just now, Long Fei had disappeared, and no one could see where he went. Ba Wanghua shouted anxiously, Long Fei, where are you? Bai Lian frowned as she looked up at the sky and said, It's up there. The moment the dome shattered, Long Fei didn't even wait half a second as he took a flying step forward and rushed towards Destiny God, roaring loudly, Destiny God, you bastard! Now it's your turn to be a mother. Anger soared. He couldn't tolerate it for even a moment. Long Fei would be unhappy if he did not kill the Destiny God. So much was done by him. Seeing that arrogant Destiny God, Long Fei only had one thought, I want to explode him to death. Chapter 1943, Stellar Blast. Chapter 1943, Stellar Blast, the dome shattered. Everything shook violently. Main Temple also felt the eruption of this abnormal power. From the very beginning, they had felt that there was a strange energy fluctuation on the Devil Island, but they had never expected that all of this energy came from one person. Long Fei. The dome with destructive power shattered. This meant that the Devil Island was no longer under his control. They were able to freely enter the ancient holy battlefield. This meant that this place was no longer the forsaken Godland. The dome of destruction is actually shattered. I didn't expect it to be like this. Only a bit more than 1 billion people died. The destroying dome isn't that big of a deal. Devil Island is no longer the Devil Island. So what if they broke through the dome? Nothing. The gods on the main temple did not feel any pity for the deaths of the billions of people. They were cold, playful, and did not care about the lives of the commoners. He was even sneering. Not enough had died. From their point of view, the people of Devil Island should all die, and the Devil Island should be destroyed. I see God. The cold main temple. Did you see that? That Brad is going to fight Destiny God. Ha ha ha. You overestimating yourself. He thinks this place is still the Chaos Realm. This is the ancient holy battlefield below main temple. Is it him? Too savage. He dares to fight against a deity. This kind of person must not be allowed to live. Otherwise, where would our divine might go? You're right. Don't worry. Destiny God will kill this guy soon. The gods of main temple stood proudly in the air, quietly watching the skies above the Devil Island. The corners of Destiny God's mouth curled up as his gaze darkened. He sneered. You came at me well. Am I afraid of you? This is the ancient holy battlefield. This was his most powerful planar domain. He was able to clearly control all of his destinies. Looking at the enraged Long Fei, he was not afraid in the slightest. However, he was not finished. A huge black shadow suddenly appeared above his head, an incomparably huge black shadow. The sky darkened. Everyone looked up, and their expressions changed drastically. What is that? What's that? Why did a huge rock fall down? Is that a stone? That seems to be a continent. Uh, it covered the sky, covering the position of the entire Devil Island. This is called a rock. This was a plane, a planet. It was Long Fei's Death Star. It was also a death bombing. You're a god, but you're still a dragon? You can be so arrogant. Do you agree? Long Fei's eyes were bloodshot. The blasting fist was cold. He no longer had any techniques in his body, but he could sense them all. He still had a gobbledygook. The moment the dome exploded, he summoned his Death Star. He wanted to let Destiny God also feel the pressure of the dome. Destiny God's face was pale. The speed at which the Death Star was falling was too fast, and there was also a powerful pressure crushing the stars. Rumble! Rumble! Endless amounts of explosions occurred, and directly smashed onto the top of Destiny God's head. Destiny God's head suddenly sank as he wanted to escape. He wanted to fly away, but the covering area of the Death Star was too big. No matter how he fled, he was unable to escape the plane of the Death Star. Not to mention, this was a mini version of the Death Star. If the original star plane that was merged with Long Fei was struck down, it was possible that the entire ancient holy battlefield could cover it up. How could he flee? Ah! Destiny God's entire body seemed to have split apart. His chignon instantly fell apart. He was in an extremely sorry state as he stared at Long Fei and roared, "What is this? What is this?" The Death Star smashed onto Destiny God's body, but he could not move at all. Long Fei stood right in front of him, smiled slightly, and said, "Aren't you a snob? Come, hang another one for me to see." Without waiting for Destiny God to speak, he slapped him hard on the face. "Aren't you King arrogant? Isn't it a god? Come on, come on. Aren't we going to destroy the Devil Island? Come on." Long Fei's fury was vented out crazily, and he slapped Destiny God one big slap after another. Everyone in the Devil Island saw this scene. Their hearts were boiling. This is too awesome. It's totally a ravage. Ha ha ha. Destiny God, you son of a bitch. Come and kill us. Ha ha ha. Incomparable excitement. He had never thought that he would be able to crush a god, and a Destiny God at that. The Death Star was incomparably huge. Once you were crushed by it, you basically could not pull it out, and the Destiny God could only allow Long Fei to hit it. They were in a sorry state. It was even more miserable than when he was in Chaos Realm. If one's front teeth were separated from one's body, even saying that one's teeth were separated would result in air leakage. Destiny God stared straight at Long Fei and said, "Long Fei, I will definitely tear you into 1,000 pieces. I swear to God." Yo. Dismembered. I'm so scared. Just cut me into pieces now. Long Fei lifted his leg and directly kicked Destiny God's crotch. Crack. He only heard 2 eggy cracking sounds. Destiny God's eyeballs were about to pop out. The pain was indescribable. Long Fei said solemnly, "I let you escape back in Chaos Realm. This time I will absolutely not let you escape." Wahaha. It's fine if you don't say Chaos Realm, but if you mention Chaos Realm, then do you not want your family, your women, or your brothers? Their souls are still in my hands. They haven't yet entered hell and are still suffering in my soul prison. Ha ha ha. That Phoenix Emperor of yours, wow. Your Luluashi, your 1,000, all of them are beauties of the nation. Wow. Destiny God also laughed crazily. This was Long Fei's weakness. "Do you dare to kill me? Will you kill me? If I die, all of them will be annihilated. Ha ha ha." Destiny God laughed out wildly. Long Fei's gaze tensed up. Cluck, cluck, cluck. His joints cracked. Do you even have the guts to mention them? The anger in Long Fei's heart expanded, as though fire had been poured oil on it. He frantically struck out with his fist, and continuously slapped Destiny God in the face. Destiny God laughed crazily. Long Fei, you can't kill me because I am a god. Here, no one can kill a god. Ha ha ha. Indeed, no matter how Long Fei attacked, the bloody grooves on Destiny God's head did not budge an inch. It looked like he was injured, with a bloody nose and swollen face. He was in an extremely sorry state. However, no matter how hard Long Fei tried to hit him, he couldn't cause any damage to his HP. Insufficient strength? If that was the case. Long Fei's eyes darkened and shouted loudly. Then let's use the explosive power of the heavens. Stars, explode. Chapter 1944. I Want to Become a God. Chapter 1944. I want to become a god. If he didn't have enough strength, then he would release even more. Star Book. It was the treasure of the universal large world. Ranked third out of the 10 great gobbledygooks, even though Long Fei had only comprehended the first page and fused a Death Star, but through the energy contained within the dragon-shaped mark, the power of the stars became incomparably strong. They were completely unable to move at all, while firmly crushing Destiny God. However, Death Star had a time limit, and it had a time limit. Since Long Fei was unable to kill the Destiny God with his own power, he would use the explosive power of the Death Star. Ordered. The Death Star began to crack and explode. Rumble. Just how strong was the explosion of a planet? It was hard to imagine. Destiny God was scared. His entire face paled as he anxiously asked, Long Fei, don't tell me that you don't want to save your family or that you don't want to return your brother. The woman's soul? They are all in my soul cage. In this world, only I am able to open it. If you kill me, their souls will perish and disappear forever. Long Fei, you dare to kill me? Long Fei said with a slight smile. You also said it. They are in your soul cage. In other words, their souls are currently fine. If I can break through the dome, could it be that your spirit cage is even more unbreakable than the dome? It was precisely because of this that Destiny God was able to speak without restraint. Otherwise, he wouldn't dare to do anything to Destiny God. Destiny God was startled and said, Only I can open the soul cage. Other people are simply impossible. Long Fei, as long as you don't kill me, I will definitely let them go. He was afraid. He wasn't sure if he could withstand the bombardment of stars. He was a god. However, he knew that even gods would die. Moreover, the power of this star's bombardment was a power he had never seen before. Long Fei laughed with contempt. Beg me, kneel down and beg me. The Destiny God spoke in a deep voice. Long Fei, I am a god and a master of fate for 100,000 planes. You want me to kneel before you? You should be the one kneeling down. If I die, all of your loved ones will die. Moreover, the fates of the living beings of the 100,000 planes will be in chaos, and the 100,000 planes will become an enormous chaos. You want me to kneel? Humph, he has his dignity. However, Long Fei liked to trample on this kind of dignity that thought itself to be above the masses. He sneered, You are well aware of my strength. If I kill you, I will replace you. The power of destiny is controlled by me. I will break your soul's cage, and I will control the fate of 100,000 planes. Long Fei leveled up his killing intent. The Destiny God was very clear that killing people could seize their cultivation technique and secret techniques. His heart sank. You can't kill me. You can't kill me. Rumble. 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 The stars exploded, and Destiny God's body started to crack crazily. The energy from his body started to dissipate, and his entire being was in a state of collapse. Long Fei looked at everything and said coldly, The one I'm going to kill is you. I can't die, I can't die. The destiny god screamed. Everyone on the Devil Island raised their heads to look at this scene. The destiny god was actually being crushed by Long Fei and was about to die. Long Fei was not a god, but it had the power to crush gods. Actually, Long Fei had been persevering on. The Death Star in the Sky Mountain was simply not this strong. It was the power of the dragon-shaped mark. Dragon-shaped mark. The power it possessed was beyond Long Fei's imagination. It could easily allow a Death Star to crush Destiny God. Seeing the blood on top of Destiny God's head constantly decreasing, Long Fei became excited. Ha ha! It's going to explode soon. It's going to explode soon. 800 metamorphic energy value is just for you. Ha ha ha. Destiny God, explode. Boom. The stars exploded. The last of the blood on top of Destiny God's head immediately drained. But in a split second, a bolt of lightning struck down vertically. The lightning wrapped around the Destiny God and formed a thick air shield. It blocked off the energy from the explosion of the stars. The sky darkened, and a huge face appeared in the sky. Long Fei had seen this face before. A sovereign. He was the ruler of 100,000 planes, the only sovereign amongst the 100,000. He was also the most powerful powerhouse of the 100,000 planes, second to none. Long Fei was extremely unhappy and said, "It's you again." This was the second time, and he was saved by the god in Chaos Realm, but now he was saved again. Long Fei was very unhappy. The god said solemnly, "Long Fei, are you done yet?" Destiny God laughed excitedly. "Ha ha! Long Fei, I said you wouldn't be able to kill me. I am a god who controls the fate of 100,000 planes. I definitely won't die." Long Fei stared at the sovereign and bellowed, "Enough? I said not enough." The sovereign's eyes turned sinister. His eyes flashed with a sharp light. Without waiting for Long Fei to react, an imposing aura pressed down heavily and shouted, "If it's not enough, then calm down a bit." Boom! Long Fei was instantly smashed down from midair. A deep crater was formed on the ground, and a large area of civilians around him were directly turned into dust. A look. Long Fei was unable to resist it. Cluck, cluck. Long Fei clenched his teeth and leapt out from the deep pit. At this moment, his idea suddenly entered another space, within the sovereign's dimension. Long Fei, your growth from God's Martial Continent to now is shocking. The main thing is that you promise me that from today onwards, you will listen to my orders, and I will make you a divine child. I will make you one of the main temple, and Destiny God will be unable to do anything to you. The sovereign had suddenly put forward such an attractive offer. A sovereign, the most powerful powerhouse of the 100,000 planes. The Son of God was the #1 figure below the sovereign level. It could be said that with a single step, he was able to soar into the sky. No one would refuse such a request. Long Fei's idea let out a cold laugh and said, "Godchild, rank in main temple, ha ha ha. What an attractive offer, but I don't care. Such a main temple, a sovereign like this." The moment Devil Island was being stomped on, Long Fei swore that he would definitely defeat Main Temple and trample his sovereign realm to death. When the sovereign appeared again, what Long Fei saw was not the sovereign, but 100,000 of the strongest bosses. The sovereign said angrily, "Do you know the consequences of rejecting me?" Long Fei laughed. "You are afraid. You are afraid that I would enter the ancient holy battlefield. You are afraid that I would change the situation, and you are afraid that I would replace you. You want peace." Long Fei didn't care about this at all. The sovereign began to laugh. "Ah ha ha ha. Would I be afraid of you? Do you think that your Long family or ancient dragon palace? Do you think that your mother's Mu clan is an ancient Mu clan? Time is changing. everything is changing. Your mother, your dragon manor, everything is changing. There is no place for them in the universal world, and you are just a stray dog. Would I be afraid of you? Ridiculous, truly laughable. Longfei laughed coldly and said, Then let's see who's the funniest. Boom. All of a sudden, the god power on Longfei's body exploded out, the outer path's reincarnation innate technique. I want to become a deity. Chapter 1945. Chapter 1945, to infuse all of his divine power into the external reincarnation technique. This was the only cultivation technique that Longfei had left behind. It was also unique. 1. The divine light exploded, like the sun that illuminated the entire Devil Island. Longfei also used all his strength, more than anywhere. In the demon land, countless people were crying while hugging their loved ones. Countless white-haired people were sending black-haired people away, and countless lonely children. A miserable world. You are a god. You are far above me. You are contemptuous of everything. You're awesome, but the people of Devil Island are also people. If not, how can you become a god? You won't save me. I'll do it. Longfei released 10 million points of his holy power value. The god looked at Longfei with contempt and laughed. What can you do? You can't do anything. Longfei, I will only give you one chance to choose. If you don't agree, from now on, you will be the enemy of the main temple, and you will suffer the pain that you have never imagined before. Destiny God's heart tightened. He looked at Longfei and thought to himself, God wants to subdue Longfei. If Longfei agrees, then. However, Destiny God relaxed again and laughed to himself. With his personality, he will definitely not agree. Longfei said coldly, Don't talk so much. Hand over the Destiny God. For me first. The sovereign stared at him and said, No matter what Destiny God has done, he is my subordinate, and is the God that controls the fate of 100,000 planes. Even if he has committed a mistake, it is not your place to teach him a lesson. Destiny God immediately laughed. Longfei, did you hear that? I say you won't be able to kill me. Ha ha ha. The sovereign appeared. His strength completely crushed 10,000 Longfei's. It was simply an impossible feat to kill the Destiny God in front of him. Furthermore, the Death Star had already exploded, so it could not be used a second time within a day. Unless Longfei was able to obtain an extremely powerful strength with just a thought. This power, the power of a god, the power of 100,000 planar gods. Thus, he was willing to put his life on the line for this. Then there's nothing to discuss. Since there's nothing to discuss, then I will fight you to the death. Main temple, right? Longfei released all his holy power value. At this moment, Longfei formed a seal with his mind, his holy power value sprinkling onto the ground. Buzz. An explosion sounded in the sky. The sky above Devil Island shook violently. The holy power value released from Longfei's body turned into streaks of light, falling down like rain onto the body of the person below. A miracle had happened. Those people who had clearly been crushed to death by the dome suddenly opened their eyes. They were alive. What's wrong? It feels so strange. Am I not dead? Why are you still alive? I didn't die, ha ha ha. I didn't die. The huge bodies of the giant clan woke up one after another. Regardless of whether your body was crushed into smithereens or if you died, the divine art's reincarnation innate technique had pulled them all back from the gates of hell. Aside from the consumption of holy power value, it also consumed a lot of Longfei's profound chi and longevity, and the feeling of his spirit force being hollowed out. An indescribable pain. Destiny God was stunned. He looked at the dead bodies on the demon land standing up one by one. How could this be? How could this be? Impossible. They were obviously dead. Why is this happening? Long Fei, what exactly did you do? Billions of people and demon beast were resurrected, not to mention the gods who controlled fate. Even the supreme gods wouldn't be able to do such a thing. The law of life, old age, sickness, and death was eternally immutable. Even sovereigns wouldn't be able to change it. They had clearly died, but now they were alive. The sovereign frowned, his eyes staring straight at Long Fei. Long Fei laughed and said, "You are gods high above. You treat the people on the Devil Island as ants. I treat them as my own people, as brothers. You won't save him. I'll save him." His voice was not loud, but it echoed throughout the entire Devil Island. And following Long Fei's words, the entire Devil Island suddenly quietened down, and everyone raised their heads to look at Long Fei, who was in the sky. At this moment, regardless of whether they were human or the demon beastess that filled the mountains, their eyes were filled with incomparable reverence. Suddenly, the fiend land was terrifyingly quiet. Boom, boom, boom. One after another, the air kept exploding. For some reason, the destiny god felt a little thirsty and said, "What sound is that? What sound is that?" The sovereign's eyes turned savage. He didn't know what sound it was, but he could clearly sense the power within it. Divine power. The same divine power as theirs. The sound was getting louder and closer. "This is the voice of God." "Did you hear that?" Desperate Man suddenly became excited. "I have heard this kind of voice before. 1,000 years ago, it was the voice of a god." Rumble. A loud sound echoed out. The sky seemed to explode. A beam of light burst out from the crack and enveloped Long Fei's entire body. At this moment, Long Fei's body felt indescribably comfortable. It was as if he was wandering in a sea of energy with incomparable satisfaction. And at the same time, his body was undergoing a crazy metamorphosis. What's that? Destiny God had never seen it before. His gaze sweeping past the commoners of the Devil Island, he said in a low voice, "This is the divine power of faith." The Destiny God asked doubtfully, "What is the divine power of faith?" The sovereign said, "The reason why we became deities is because we won the ancient war. Therefore, we, the conferred gods, have another way to become deities. We believe in becoming deities. Look at the billions of lives on this Devil Island. Long Fei is their religion. This power." The sovereign's eyes narrowed. He didn't say anything further. He only knew it, but he had never seen it before. He had thought that there was no way for him to truly become a god, nor was there such a possibility. Thus, he had never placed these ant-like humans in his eyes either. But now, Destiny God asked, "Lord God, then what are we waiting for? Kill him before he becomes a god." The sovereign frowned. He wanted to kill Long Fei too, but this was the choice of the heavens. The heavens are irreversible. Seems like. The sovereign looked at Destiny God. Destiny God's expression tightened and said, "Lord God, I don't want to die. I don't want to die." While they were talking, Destiny God immediately escaped. The sovereign let out a small breath. Why was the cultivation of the Destiny God so strong? With his fleeing speed, he was already millions of kilometers away in an instant. It was just that. At that moment, Long Fei's eyes were wide open as the beam of light around his body suddenly exploded. His figure flew out and instantly landed in front of Destiny God as he coldly said, "Fate, old dog, where are you running off to?" Chapter 1946, Destiny God Explosion. This is too bad. Chapter 1946, Destiny God Explosion. This is too bad. With a single thought, he became a god. It was unstoppable. Even the sovereign of the powerhouse, who was in control of 100,000 planes, couldn't stop it. The sky is not reversible. This was a God created from the faith of billions of creatures. This was the first time in the history of 100,000 planes that had existed for billions of years. Faith in God. The entire 100,000 planes were shaking, especially the main temple. It was as though their divine sparks were trembling. A chill rose in their hearts that had never been there before. Fear. Long Fei stood in front of the Destiny God, laughed coldly, and said, "Where do you want to run to?" There was only a little bit of blood left on the top of his head. If he didn't kill this, then was that still called Long Fei? Moreover, Destiny God must die. The Destiny God looked at Long Fei and said, "Long Fei, you cannot kill me. The Lord God will not let you go. Even if you become a god now, you will still not be able to kill me. I am the Destiny God. I control the fate of the living beings of the 100,000 planes. If I die, the 100,000 planes will crumble." Not waiting for him to finish, Long Fei curled the corner of his mouth and said, "First, you should control your own fate." Suddenly he moved. The simulacrum of a sovereign appeared again and shouted slightly, "Long Fei, stop." A powerful force blocked in front of Long Fei, causing him to raise his eyes. "Slightly? You said I had to stop just because you told me to? Who do you think you are?" The sovereign looked displeased. "Long Fei, he is right. The fate of the living beings of the 100,000 planes is in his hands. If you kill him, the lives of the living beings of the 100,000 planes will become chaotic. It's great that it collapsed. How wonderful it is to crumble. How terrible it is to crumble. Who cares about what you say?" Long Fei did not care about all that. Today, Destiny God must die. Chaos Realm fled. The bombardment of stars had fled. This time, no matter what, Long Fei would not let him escape. The sovereign's gaze tightened and said, "Long Fei, you really want to kill him?" "I have to kill him." Long Fei said, resolutely. The god's eyes revealed a hint of coldness. "He is a member of the main temple. If you kill him, it would be equivalent to waging a war against them. Can you, a small lower god, bear it?" Long Fei said fearlessly, "Whether I can take it or not, you'll have to take it first before you know." "Stop bullshitting with lousy. Scram to the side." Long Fei raised his left hand. Wang! The power of Buddha became even more ferocious, directly shattering the sovereign's power. Long Fei also flew out and instantly appeared in front of Destiny God. He struck out with his palm into the air. The palm print became incomparably large. It covered the entire sky. Wow! Long Fei was indescribably excited in his heart. This is God. This is God power. The palm landed heavily. Die. Destiny God's eyes trembled and his pupils enlarged. He shouted loudly, "Lord God, save me, save me." Shadow of Main God did not move. His real face is not here. It was also not within 100,000 planes, and just the power of this image alone was not enough to save Destiny God. Long Fei became a god. The power of the billions of lives supporting him was minuscule like dust, but the power of the billions gathered together. It could kill gods. Long Fei, you can't kill me. You can't kill me. Your brothers, your women, they are all under my control. The Destiny God roared, but Long Fei did not care. He just wanted to blast you to death. However, at this moment, a surge of power from the shadow of Main God enveloped the Destiny God's body. Destiny God was overjoyed. He thought that the sovereign God was saving him, but when that power entered his body, his expression immediately changed. No, no, no. 100,000 planes cannot be thrown into chaos. I can't let the 100,000 planes under my control collapse because of you. This is all your fault. Who should we offend? and he had to offend the dragon manners and the Mu clan's crystal long phase body. Who was he? I'm afraid that even if you were to die 10,000 times, you will never know the power backing him. However, don't worry, I will get revenge for you. The world I control does not allow anyone to act as he pleases. Even if he is a dragon, he would kneel in front of me. Buzz. With that said, all of the power in Destiny God's body was stripped away. At the same time, Destiny God's body sank slightly as the last bit of his blood fell to the ground. He no longer had any form of defense. Boom. His body exploded. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for killing Destiny God for obtaining 100 billion experience, 1 billion holy power value, and 1 metamorphic energy value. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining God's holy sword. 2 notifications. Other than a sword, nothing else had been revealed. Not even his divine spark was released. Long Fei started to understand a little. He stood there in a daze and thought, System, did you get it wrong? Is he a destiny god? Main Temple's boss. Are you joking with me? A sword? Just a sword? Even the destiny god, as hadn't exploded it, not to mention his law of fate, and the soul cage. The system did not respond. It will not respond to this either. After staring at it for a long time, Long Fei finally snapped back to reality. He spat out a mouthful of phlegm. Ha! Trash! Glancing at the god's holy sword, Long Fei did not look back. In other words, a slightly better holy artifact. It was not something that belonged to the level of a main artifact. He immediately lost all interest and didn't want to waste his metamorphic energy value. Long Fei was very angry in his heart. This is the first time that so many bosses have dropped so many pieces of trash. I'll throw your mother to the ground. How infuriating. Destiny God doesn't drop anything? However, when Long Fei thought about how a halo of light would be pulled out of Destiny God before he died, he immediately looked up and stared at the shadow of main God above his head. He said coldly, God, you really have a good move. The sovereign said coldly, Long Fei, you have already challenged the main temple. Very good. I will let you know the power of main temple. Let's meet at ancient holy battlefield. As soon as he finished, the shadow of main God disappeared in an instant. Long Fei said, I'll see you then. Do you think I'm afraid of you? Motherf asterisk cur. It was also at this time. Ding. Congratulations to player Long Fei for breaking through Devil Island. Ding. Main artifact. Dragon coffin awaken. In another place. God's mountain. Zhan Wushuang sat cross-legged. He secretly rejoiced in his heart, and at the same time, he was also waiting. He was secretly happy because the destiny god was dead. They were waiting because, suddenly, he slightly raised his eyes, immediately got up and bowed. Lord God. Chapter 1947, 8 King Kong, Out of the World. Chapter 1947, 8 King Kong, Out of the World. Devil Island's imprisonment was broken, causing everyone to be shocked. Discussions were going on in every corner of ancient holy battlefield. However, in less than a day's time, these discussions. Rumble! A loud sound came from the sky above ancient holy battlefield as a ray of divine light descended, illuminating the entire God's mountain. The light of the Son of God. The God-child has descended in the direction of the God's mountain. The Son of God has descended, and everything is shaking. Ancient holy battlefield was only the name of a plain, but the true battlefield that changed the laws of the world was not on this plain, but inside another secret world of this plain. In the secret world, when the God-child's light also shone down upon this place, the light faction, which was controlled by the main temple, began to retaliate frantically. The evil god palace was completely unable to resist it. When the god's sun descends, the evil god army will be utterly defeated. The deadlock on the battlefield is slowly breaking. The power of the main temple began to take control of the entire situation. The evil god panicked. The god-child had descended faster than he had expected. Moreover, this god-child didn't just grasp one law power. He also wielded two law powers, adding on the main artifact, S, if he cultivated in the future. Even he, the evil god, would not be a match for him. Two types of law energy, comparable to the power of sovereigns. God's mountain. You are now a child of God, and you control the power of law passed down through your ancestors, the defense law. In addition, the destiny god's law of fate has been passed to you as well. Right now, you are in control of the fate of the living beings of the 100,000 planes. So it can be said that no one in the 100,000 planes is your opponent other than me. The sovereign said calmly. Zhan Wushuang kneeled on the ground and said, "Thank you, Lord God. I want you to do something right now. No matter what, you cannot let Long Fei bring people into the battlefield." It was not that simple to enter the ancient holy battlefield. However, to be able to kill the destiny god, Long Fei was an extremely simple person. Even the sovereigns did not dare to underestimate him. As long as Long Fei was not able to enter the battlefield, he was unable to change the outcome of the battle, and the 100,000 planes were firmly held in his hands. Zhan Wushuang's gaze tightened and said solemnly, Long Fei's background is very complicated, so I don't need you to face him head-on. As long as you stop him from entering the battlefield and wait for me to return, it will be his doomsday. The sovereign's real face wasn't in one of the 100,000 planes. He was training in another time and space. Outside the 100,000 planes, the universal large world was the center of the universe. 100,000 planes was nothing compared to the universal large world, who was as small as a grain of sand. The sovereign king was not willing to be the monarch within the sand. He wanted more power, the power to live forever. Thus, he entered the foreign land to search for stronger powers. Zhan Wushuang replied, "As you wish." The sovereign reminded him, once again, Long Fei's background is very complicated. With his body, his soul is filled with too many mysteries. He is the product of the union of two of the most ancient families in the universal world. Even if you control two types of law energies, it would be difficult to kill him. Zhan Wushuang said again, "Disciple will remember. When I'm not around, you can temporarily be main temple's commander. When necessary, you can enter the battlefield, and you can also give orders to the 36 gods of main temple. Son of God, an existence lower than 10,000 people. Even if the sovereign did not speak, Zhan Wushuang's identity and status were not something that the gods of main temple could compare to. The sovereign's words allowed Zhan Wushuang to gain an even stronger support. When necessary, you can use the power of the entire main temple to stop Long Fei from entering the god battlefield. The sovereign looked in the direction of the Devil Island and said slightly, "This is my territory. I don't care if you are the Dragon Manor or the Mu clan." And then the shadow of main god slowly disappeared into the sky. Zhan Wushuang slowly stood up from the ground. He looked at his hands, looked at the divine child's imprint on his palms, and simultaneously felt the power of the law of fate in his body. He couldn't help but laugh wildly. Ha ha ha, ha ha ha. The space between his eyebrows sank. Buzz. A strong law of fate suddenly burst forth, with him at the center as it formed a giant vortex of energy. In this vortex of energy, he could feel a strength that made him especially excited. Suddenly, Zhan Wushuang was ecstatic, the elementary form of soul controlling. This is the power that the destiny god had been secretly cultivating all this time. I never thought that. The sovereign did not notice that I was being stripped of the destiny god's power, and all of it was transferred into my body. In other words, what I grasp is not 2 law energies, but 3 law energies. Zhan Wushuang was boiling. Long Fei, let's see how you are going to fight with me. Xian Yuanli air. Damn you, it's time to start. The reason why I didn't touch you until today. Zhan Wushuang suddenly thought of something. His mouth hooked up as he said with a cold smile. However, before this, I should have gone to see the souls destiny god has created. Long Fei, it seems like your clansmen, brothers, and women's souls have all been absorbed by the destiny god, right? Now they are mine. When you killed my clansmen, let's see how I deal with them now. Ha ha ha. The sovereign only stripped away the power of the destiny god. He only wanted the fates of the living beings of the 100,000 planes to be controlled a little earlier. However, he did not expect that the soul controlling that the destiny god was cultivating with would already have taken shape, and that he only needed to integrate with a strong soul to complete it. 3 law energies. There was no precedent. Once he mastered it, no one would be able to stop him. There was an unprecedented crisis. Zhan Wushuang would never let Long Fei go. Similarly, Long Fei would also not let Zhan Wushuang go. In another part of the infernal realm, 8 places, to respect a man like a statue. Suddenly, a pair of eyes suddenly opened wide, glaring at him like King Kong. A shadow descended from the sky. With a light sound, Holy King Kong. Boom. Li Yuanba's statue-like body instantly recovered, and he fiercely stood up. Black runes covered his entire body, and his body was half god, super divine power. Li Yuanba looked at the illusory image in the air and asked, "Is it time?" The mysterious man nodded his head. "It's time. Your journey to hell is over. Now, return to Long Fei. He needs your help." Ha ha ha. The black runes on Li Yuanba's body slowly entered his body, and with a wild laugh, he said, "Boss, we're going to come out." Ha ha. How many years had the journey to the infernal realm been going through? How much had he experienced? He had experienced many hardships and suffered many hardships. Others didn't know, but only they themselves knew. The current 8 King Kong was no longer the previous 8 King Kong. Long Zhanting was also no longer the Long Zhanting of the past, but the King of Hell in 100,000 planes. Control the law of death. Boom, boom, boom. In every direction of the infernal realm, the sound of explosions unceasingly rang out. 10,000 ghosts pay their respects. The 8 King Kong was born and awakened. In that instant, entering society, entering the ancient holy battlefield plane. Chapter 1948. Opening of the Dragon Coffin S and Ancient World S. Chapter 1948. Opening of the Dragon Coffin S and Ancient World S. With a single thought, he became a god. Main artifact, Dragon Coffin Awakening. The dome above Devil Island shattered. Everything shook violently. Ancient holy battlefield, divinity, and the place where the main temple was located were all shocked, because all of this was impossible, and now it had happened. He did not rely on the ancient holy battlefield's struggle to become a god. He relied on his own strength to break through the shackles of the Dome of the Gods. It was like a myth. On Devil Island, those people who died in the battle for the Dome of the Heavens were all saved by Long Fei. Giant clan, 12 Hell Reapers, countless warriors and commoners. Huff! Wang Tai let out a heavy breath. His face was full of infatuation and satisfaction, as though he was a young girl in the prime of her youth. Yan Nantian looked at him and laughed. "What smell is that?" Wang Tai said excitedly. Freedom! LV Shuangchuan scratched his head. I don't feel anything. I'm still the same as before. Ba Wanghua laughed. I also smell the scent of freedom. We can leave Devil Island, we can step onto the plain of ancient holy battlefield. And, speaking to hear, Ba Wanghua's eyes were filled with longing, and he said, maybe one day we will be able to enter the battlefield. Maybe one day we can change this world. Long Fei walked up and said indifferently, I will. Everyone revealed an excited smile when they saw Long Fei. Boss, Brother Fei. Long Fei clenched his fists tightly and said, there will definitely be a day when I will bring you all into the battleground. I will make this world tremble before us, and I will draw up new rules. Everyone looked at him with blazing eyes. They believed in Long Fei. At this time, the Tian Shu walked over and said indifferently, Long Fei, this is an extremely difficult path. Changing oneself is very difficult, and changing the world is very difficult. The power of law has been ingrained in my body for millions of years. It's extremely difficult to change it. However, the Tian Shu laughed, everything you have experienced is a kind of tribulation. The more tribulations you have, the more beneficial it will be for your growth. Only then will you be able to walk further. All right, we are going back to the holy Buddhahood. If fate wills it, we will meet again. The Tian Shu clasped her hands together and said, Amitabha. And then the Tian Shu stepped into the void together with her 3 junior brothers. It disappeared in the blink of an eye. Their mission was over. It was time for them to leave, and holy Buddhahood had always wanted to ignore him. But how could he ignore him when he was already in the middle of a storm? They were going back to train hard, to fight for the survival of the holy Buddhahood. Long Fei looked at their disappearing figures and said softly, Many thanks. Bai Lian said, You are the Son of God. There is no need to thank them. Everything they do is natural. Long Fei said, They are all friends who have helped me before. Regardless of my identity, I should be thankful. I also want to thank you all for accompanying me in battle. Long Fei looked at everyone around him. His heart was filled with gratitude. It was because of their help that he was able to stand here. Yan Nantian said, Actually, the one who needs to thank is us. If it wasn't for you, we would just be ants in the eyes of the gods and would have died a long time ago. Yeah, we want to thank you. The entire Devil Island must thank you. You revived them. In the hearts of the people in the Devil Island, no matter who it was, all of them were immensely grateful to Long Fei. Long Fei gave them hope. Let them be reborn. Yan Nantian said, What should we do next? Long Fei frowned. He had no clue on what to do next. He looked at Desperate Man and asked, Do you know what happened after my mother ascended? Desperate Man shook his head. I don't know, and no one knows either. Gold Robemaster said, Long Fei, the next step should be to bring a group of people to ancient holy battlefield and search for the entrance to the battlefield. We have broken through the shackles of the Devil Island. The forces of the main temple will definitely not let us off. Only by entering the ancient holy battlefield earlier will we have the qualifications to fight against the main temple and the strength to stabilize ourselves. Zhang Sanqian said, That's right. Only those who enter the battlefield have the authority to speak. Killing Destiny God right in front of the god is a great humiliation to the main temple. They will definitely not let this go easily. We should quickly enter the battlefield. Ancient holy battlefield. It was a very special existence. Everything you want can be achieved in it. Power of law, the king's rule, everything you can think of. Thus, main temple also firmly held on to everything in the battlefield. Only by entering the battlefield could one earn enough achievements to have a foothold. Long Fei slightly nodded and said, All right, prepare in 3 days, and then enter the ancient holy battlefield. Gold Robe Master said again. Ancient holy battlefield must go, but Devil Island is your foundation. You must also guard him well. His words did not make sense. However, Long Fei was very clear about this in his heart. The Devil Island was where he became a god. The billions of lives here were the source of his power. If they died, his divine spark would fall. When he entered the ancient holy battlefield again, he had to protect the people here. Long Fei frowned, nodded, and said, I understand. At night, the bright moon hung high in the sky. Long Fei sat on a cliff, leaning in Ba Hua's embrace. Ba Hua caressed Long Fei's silver-white hair. Under the moonlight, her silver hair shone. Leaning into Long Fei's embrace made her feel incomparable happiness. Long Fei looked at Hao Yue, his eyes filled with longing. Thinking about what Destiny God had said, Jojo and the other souls were still suffering in their soul cages, but he had no way of saving them after killing the Destiny God. Long Fei's heart felt very uncomfortable. Moreover, facing the shadow of main God, Long Fei simply did not have enough power. He was already unable to defend against just a sovereign idea. If the real face appeared, he would only be able to get crushed. Sovereigns, a supreme powerhouse of 100,000 planes, a true controller. Long Fei was still unable to move. He still had to become stronger, and he had to develop the strength of the dragon shape mark as well. Main artifact, the dragon coffin. Long Fei took a look and saw that there wasn't much of a difference from the first stage. On the dragon coffin, there was an extra dragon-shaped mark that was exactly the same as the one on her arm. Long Fei moved. The idea entered the dragon coffin. Buzz. The dragon-shaped mark flashed with light. Next, Long Fei felt as if he had entered another world, an incomparably vast and ancient world. Suddenly, sensing Long Fei's aura from the depths of this world, a heaven-shattering dragon roar sounded out. Rumble! A colossal dragon covered in golden scales rose up. This huge dragon is exactly the same as the dragon-shaped mark on my arm. Chapter 1949, Abnormal Training Mode. Chapter 1949, Abnormal Training Mode. Long Fei's idea stood in shock, not daring to move. The golden dragon turned and instantly appeared in front of Long Fei. Huge. It was incredibly difficult. Long dragon whiskers, sinister dragon heads, two large golden eyes slightly moved as they stared at Long Fei. At this moment, Long Fei felt like he was being held back by the god of death. He couldn't move. He believed that even if he used all his strength, including ultimate boxing, he wouldn't be able to harm a piece of the dragon scales. Long Fei had obtained the 12 dragon ancestor at the god's martial continent. His Long family people had all turned into dragons. The dragon was familiar to him. Furthermore, he had met the powerful, colorful fairy dragon S of the divinity's dragon tribes in the Chaos Realm. Compared to the huge dragon in front of him, the dragons that Long Fei had met were like small worms. Not a dragon at all. The colossal dragon's mouth moved slightly as it said, "You're finally here." The powerful aura of the dragon vanished. Long Fei's consciousness moved and said, "You're waiting for me?" The colossal dragon said, "Do I have to wait for someone else?" The dragon coffin was a main artifact. When Long Fei received him, she knew that his attacks were very strong. Golden Cudgel, the power of a sun monkey. However, he never thought that the dragon coffin would hide such a huge world, and this huge dragon was actually waiting for him. Long Fei said, "What are you waiting for me for?" The colossal dragon said, "Don't you know that I'm waiting for you?" True. You don't know many things. You know very little about the dragon clan and very little about the dragon manor. Naturally, you don't know your own identity, nor do you know why I'm waiting for you. Forget it. It's good if you don't know. This way, you can also put your heart into it. The colossal dragon turned to look at Long Fei and said, "The reason is no longer important. You are the chosen one from the Long residence. You are also one of the people chosen by the Mu clan. Now that you have appeared here, I will do everything I can to raise you into a peerless powerhouse." All right, that's all I have to say. From now on, your training in the dragon coffin will begin. Please choose. The moment the dragon finished its sentence, ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for triggering the dragon coffin training mission. At the same time, in Long Fei's mind, the various choices that had been drawn out by a disc appeared. Martial arts training, alchemy, artifact cultivator. Martial arts training was the main profession. There were also many supplementary training tasks. In addition, there were also two powerful cultivation methods, Immortal Cultivator and Deity Cultivator. However, these two patterns were gray and white, and with Long Fei's current cultivation, he was unable to activate them. Can you give me a hint? Long Fei asked. The colossal dragon said, "It's very simple. This dragon coffin has too many secrets, and I only know a little of them. The special space I'm in will appear different models according to your choice." Long Fei's heart trembled. This is the third time the dragon coffin has been opened, but it has not completely revealed its power. What exactly is it? Long Fei was too lazy to think about it. The idea moved and said, "Let's choose the martial arts training mode today." Ding! Martial arts training mode confirmed. Ding! Martial arts training mode activated. Ding! Kill 10,000 steel armor beast. Successfully completed the mission, obtaining task credit, special reward. Mission failed. All the steel armor beasts' experience points will be deducted. Without waiting for Long Fei to get ready, the huge dragon soared into the sky, and the whole world suddenly changed. From just one ancient world, it became a battlefield for the opposite sex. Roar! A steel armor beast stood on top of a mountain that looked like a thorn as it let out a roar. Steel armor beast. It was about 10 meters tall, and its entire body was made of iron. This type of steel was not ordinary steel, but a very special kind of material. Boom! Bang! With a loud noise, Long Fei was not given any time to react. A steel armor beast descended. Its front limbs moved, suddenly transforming into a sharp Dao foam. A lightning attack. Long Fei's face shook. Although his divine spark was unstable, he was still a lower god of the 100,000 planes, and his reaction was as fast as lightning. His reaction speed, however, could not keep up with the steel armor beast. Swish! The blade slashed down. The blade chi was like a rainbow and directly slashed Long Fei's idea into two. Instant kill. Ding! Challenge failed. Huff! Long Fei was also shocked to the point that his entire body was covered in cold sweat. Bawang Hua looked at him and perspired profusely, then said, "Long Fei, what's wrong with you? Don't scare me." Hoo 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 hoo. Long Fei took a few deep breaths and said, "I'm fine. Little flower, you go back first. I'll be alone." The matter of the dragon coffin naturally could not be told. He was like a system. Nobody could say anything. Bawang Hua was a little worried. Long Fei replied, "Don't worry, I'll be fine." The cultivation method of the dragon coffin was too terrifying. If one steel armor beast could kill him in an instant and let him kill 10,000 steel armor beast, wouldn't that be asking for his life? Although Bawang Hua didn't know what had happened to Long Fei, she believed in him. After she left, Long Fei moved and thought in his heart, "Damn, so bold. This is too freaking abnormal." I am still a lower god after all. So if I instantly killed him, how terrifying would this steel armor beast's cultivation be? Long Fei's heart throbbed, and he once again entered the world of Dragon Coffin. This time, he did not choose to use the martial arts training. Going in was completely asking for a beating. Alchemy, ding! Alchemy mode activated. Ding! I can refine a divine pill. Refine successfully, obtaining task credit, special reward. Refining failed, so all my alchemy experience points will be deducted. I started with some godly pills, but this daddy here is an expert at alchemy. Divine pellets are also easy to obtain. Long Fei's attainments in alchemy could be considered not bad, at least in God's martial continent, his alchemy technique. He cultivated it to the great perfection stage. The system beep descended. All sorts of spirit grass appeared in front of Long Fei, and they were all super divine, rank spirit grass that Long Fei had never seen before. He became excited. So many good spirit grass. Any random one of them would shock 100,000 planes. These spirit grass did not even belong to these 100,000 different planes. Even the lowest ranked spirit grass would be 10,000 times stronger than any one of the 100,000 planes. With this kind of material, how can it still not produce godly pills? He's not an idiot. Immediately, Long Fei selected a few spirit grasses and began using his alchemy. Alchemy, technical second, material first. Without good materials, even if you could make flowers, it would be useless. The materials that Long Fei had grasped could be said to be the best of the best. Refining divine pellets, he was filled with confidence. However, the god power activated the fire, and when he threw the first spirit grass into the furnace, the system rang out before he could even control it. Ding! Chapter 1950 Training with Different Meaning. Chapter 1950 Training with Different Meaning. Ding! Refinery failure. Long Fei was stunned on the spot. Holy SH *T. I haven't even done anything, and I've already failed? You don't get it, do you? Long Fei had a stupefied expression. He didn't even know where he had failed. The colossal dragon's voice sounded. The alchemy techniques that you have mastered in the past are all trash and are completely useless. From the moment you used your divine power to ignite the fire, you have failed. Long Fei was speechless. In the Devil Island, he had never refined any pills, but in Chaos Realm, he was also a master of alchemy. How could the first step be wrong? Long Fei was not convinced and asked, if we do not use divine power to ignite the fire, then what should be the first step? Could the spirit grass have melted directly into the pill furnace? The colossal dragon slightly said, every single spirit grass has their own unique characteristics. Traditional alchemy can only refine ordinary traditional medicine, and this kind of medicine can only be wasted on spirit grass. It doesn't have too much value. If I want to refine a real divine pill, I have to master the art of heaven. Long Fei asked again, why is it a sky spell? The colossal dragon replied, one does not rely on one's own strength to refine pills. Instead, one uses the natural power of all kinds of methods to refine pills. The world is just a huge furnace. He doesn't need a real alchemy powerhouse to concoct a pill furnace. **CK. Long Fei unhappily grinned. If you use all sorts of methods, you will naturally go to the alchemy. Make one for me to see. The colossal dragon said gently, I will only do it once. Watch carefully. While they were talking, a few spirit grass rose into the air. Suddenly, the huge dragon's power surged. The wind, chi, luck, and power in the surroundings were all channeled by him. He had truly turned the world into a pill furnace. The spirit grass rose into the air as the holy source surged and fused. In less than a second, a ray of spiritual light shot out explosively. A sugar-sized pellet appeared in front of Long Fei. Long Fei moved. Pill, spirit-opening pill grade. Divine level. This divine level is different from the divine level in Devil Island. In Ancient Holy Battlefield, the divine level in 100,000 places is completely different. Description: a pill can instantly become a god. Long Fei was dumbstruck as he looked at the pill's properties. He needed billions of souls to be able to become a god with just a thought. And this small pill in front of him, as long as he swallowed it, he could become a god. Gudong! Long Fei heavily swallowed his saliva and muttered about this pellet. Without waiting for Long Fei to finish, the pill flew into the air and landed in the mouth of the colossal dragon. Long Fei's eyes turned green, and he cursed in his heart. F***CK, won't you leave it to me? That's a spirit-opening pill. A single pill can help one become a deity and rise to the heavens in a single step. He even had the heart to cry. However, the colossal dragon disdainfully said, "My alchemy technique is only at the lowest stage of the heaven arts, and the pellets I refine are only barely adequate. A true alchemy powerhouse can casually refine and consume a pellet that will instantly kill your 100,000 supreme powerhouse 10,000 times." Long Fei. They had instantly killed up to 10,000 of powerhouse. A single pill could kill a sovereign. Moreover, 10,000 times. Was there such a pill in this world? Killed a sovereign in an instant? Long Fei didn't even dare to believe that. If it was true, then the 100,000 planes was too small in front of the universal large world. The warriors here were all probably 3 years old when compared to the warriors in the universal world. Terrifying. It was too damn scary. It was also at this time. The system sounded out. Ding. Alchemy mission. Failure. Boom. Long Fei's idea was once again blasted to death, breaking out in a cold sweat. It returned to the real world. Damn, this is too ferocious. Training method. This is simply devilish. Look at the other modes. Next, Long Fei tried them out one by one. Refining method. Boom. Killed. Inscription mode. Boom. Instantly killed. After observing all the challenges, Long Fei concluded that these challenges could only be described with one word: you're courting death. There was no pattern that Long Fei could endure past 3 seconds. If he went up, he would be defeated, and if he failed, he would be killed. Wanting to pass the mission, ascend to heaven, it was 10,000 times harder than climbing to heaven. After an entire night of suffering, Long Fei was completely beaten up. He felt like he had been an idiot in his previous cultivation. The next day, Long Fei said, "Continue. You're courting death. Even I have to come up with some tricks. I don't believe you." Long Fei never submitted. Moreover, through the night, although he had failed all the challenges, he had learned a lot of things. On the contrary, he felt that he had learned a lot under the cruel training mode. It would be useless in the Dragon Coffin world, but in the Devil Island world, he felt that one night was comparable to 10 years of bitter cultivation by the great masters. Also, he wanted to enter the ancient holy battlefield. He wanted to leave alone. The Devil Island needed someone to protect them. If he led too many people and left, he was afraid that other powers would invade the Devil Island. Just as Gold Robe Master said, this was his foundation. If the Devil Island was destroyed, his divine spark would fall as well. He wanted to enter the ancient holy battlefield by himself to find the entrance to the battleground, and at that time, he would return to the Devil Island to bring his men into the battlefield. Thus, before he enters the ancient holy battlefield, he needs to be strong enough. The powerhouse of the main temple were waiting for him. The sovereigns would definitely not allow him to easily enter the battleground. It was imperative to become stronger. The cultivation method of dragon coffin was extremely important. Again, martial arts training mode challenge. Ding! Activating the martial arts training's cultivation method, killing 10,000 steel armor beast. Long Fei came to the Star Wars battlefield once again. This time he was good. Looking at the incoming steel armor beast, his fist sank. Take one of my blasting fist first. Boom. The power of the ultimate boxing was released. Blasting fist, whoever he saw, the ultimate boxing had an endless amount of power. The steel armor beast did not dodge and continued to forcibly charge forward. Rumble! Long Fei grinned and said, "You're still not dead yet." However, the huge explosion had not finished landing yet, but the steel armor beast in the dust did not have any injuries and directly smashed into Long Fei's body. Boom! The idea shattered. Long Fei left the otherworldly battlefield. Holy sh*T. Not even death of blasting fist. Long Fei's face turned white, as if he died once. The colossal dragon's voice rang out. The martial arts training mode is not only for you to kill the steel armor beast. The most important thing is to cultivate. All of your strength will be suppressed here, so the blasting fist is also useless. You have to rely on your combat skills, strength, speed, and also your ability to see to defeat the steel armor beast. Only by doing so can you truly improve, not just raise your cultivation level. This is meaningless. Understood. Chapter 1951, Eagle's Eye Insight. Chapter 1951, Eagle's Eye Insight Dragon Coffin. Ancient World's Astral Battlefield. Long Fei gasped for breath. After spending more than 3 hours on the battlefield, the steel armor beast finally lost 1/10 of its HP. This is too damn difficult. Looking at the steel armor beast that was fuming, Long Fei felt very bad. Isn't this guy too difficult to deal with? After 3 hours, Long Fei was almost played until death as he grinded back and forth between the damage dealt by the MIS and the fact that the steel armor beast did not die. However, after 3 hours of consumption, he always knew some of the characteristics of this steel armor beast. For example, every time he moved the red liquid flowing on his body, it would flash with a red light. For example, every time he moved the red liquid flowing on his body, it would flash with a red light. However, it was far too difficult to sever the source of power. Huff, huff. Long Fei panted like an ox as his brain spun. He had been training in the Dragon Coffin's training mode for 3 days straight. In these 3 days, this was the first time he had dealt 10% of the steel armor beast's damage. One steel armor beast was way too far away from 10,000, but this was an important step. Boom! The steel armor beast let out a roar, and its footsteps became heavy. Buzz! An ear-piercing sound pierced through the air, followed by a red light shining from its body. Long Fei frowned. Coming. F***CK. I'm not afraid of you. Long Fei stood in place without moving, holding his breath. He concentrated with all his might, and all the divine power in his body surged out. Calm down, calm down. You have to be calm. He was waiting for an opportunity. They were waiting for the chance to kill him in one hit. In the blink of an eye, the steel armor beast pounced down. Its forelimbs suddenly turned into sharp blades, like a flying mantis. With a few slashes, the blade chi wreaked havoc, sealing off all paths of retreat for Long Fei. Seal off my path of retreat. Humph! I've never thought of running away. Just like you. Long Fei's eyes suddenly opened wide, revealing a ray of light. Following that, his entire body flew out, sticking close to the ground. Rumble! The steel armor beast smashed down. Long Fei's right fist moved. The dragon-shaped mark let out a faint glow. Come on! Thousands of holy power value surged. Long Fei punched heavily on the steel armor beast's abdomen, which was also where all of the steel armor beast's scarlet energy was gathered from. Boom! An earth-shaking explosion. Long Fei's arm also went numb from the impact, as if he was almost blown away by the backlash. However, a miracle happened. The red light covering the steel armor beast scattered and was shattered by Long Fei within the energy source. His entire body collapsed. Ha ha ha. As expected, it is a one-hit kill. Awesome, you are awesome. Is the steel armor beast amazing? Isn't it still being torn to pieces by me? Ha ha. Long Fei shouted excitedly. It was also at this time. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining Eagle's Eye power. Ding! Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining 100 million experience points, 100 million holy power value, and 1 metamorphic energy value. Congratulations to player Long Fei for obtaining a piece of God's steel. Eagle's Eye. Long Fei felt a surge of power surge into his eyes, as if his eyes had transformed. Hawkeye. It had a 5% understanding of a Fatal Strike's weakness. Fatal Strike's weakness? Long Fei was excited and thought, ha ha ha. This devilish training method sure is useful. And the experience is so great. 100 million experience each. If 10,000 is a trillion, then how high would one have to rise to? Long Fei was a little confused. His current level was lower god. He should be the strongest existence in the Devil Island. However, the realm and level of the ancient holy battlefield were not limited to just the lower god S. There were even higher levels. To be able to obtain 1 trillion experience points, not to mention the highest level of experience points, even main temple would probably be considered as the strongest level of existence. A trillion experience adding task credit, and there's even a big prize for mysteriousness. Ha! System, you are really too awesome, too abnormal. Long Fei was excited. However, at this moment, the 2 steel armor beasts descended, not giving Long Fei enough time to react, and instantly killed the Long Fei, who was thinking too much at the same time. Boom! The idea was cut down. Long Fei was scared to the point that he broke out in cold sweat again as he left the ancient world and returned to the real world. He took a deep breath. Damn, I feel like I died again. Does it have to be like this? Every time the idea was killed, it was as if they died. It was really hard. At this moment, the system sounded out. Ding! Mission failed. Experience divine power and metamorphic energy value retracted. Instantly, 100 million experience points disappeared from the experience slot. Long Fei was at a loss. It was as if she was slicing his flesh. She was in extreme pain. System your head. I only killed 1 steel armor beast in 3 days. You're going to retract it now. Aren't you being too cruel? A mission is a mission. Failure is failure. With his experience being taken back, Long Fei felt a bit bad, but he had no choice who told him to enter the Dragon Coffin's training mode. However, fortunately, Ing Ai and the god steel that dropped from the steel armor beast were not taken back. Looking at these 2 things, Long Fei's heart was moved. It seems like the things that are dropped from inside will not be taken back. At least there is some comfort. What material does this god steel have? I've never heard of it. Let alone 100 million experience. Even 10 billion experience wouldn't be enough to trade for these 2 items. God steel, the toughest equipment in the universal world, and also an essential material for creating super weapons. Long Fei exited the dragon coffin S time. The dragon spoke. You have comprehended Falcon's eye in 3 days and killed him in one shot. Is that the hidden potential in your body? Seems like the too great ancient family as betting everything on you might be right. Brother Fay, we are all ready. Let's go. Go to ancient holy battlefield, do a big job, and make the world tremble for us. LV Shuangchuan said excitedly. In the hall, everyone looked at Long Fei. 3 days. They were all making meticulous preparations. Becoming a member of the ancient holy battlefield was their lifetime's dream. If they were lucky enough to enter the battlefield and fight for power, that would be their supreme glory. Any martial practitioner would feel proud to have entered the battlefield to fight for supremacy. No matter if it was the Devil Island S or the other planes, they all wanted to enter the battlefield to fight for hegemony. However, Long Fei slightly said, this time entering the ancient holy battlefield, I'm going by myself. Chapter 1952, Entering the Ancient War of Gods. Chapter 1952, Entering the Ancient War of Gods. Although Long Fei had been training for the past 3 days, he had been thinking about it. Devil Island was currently in an extremely unstable state. Moreover, the dome had been destroyed, and the dense chi of God power had surged in, causing the speed of Devil Island's martial arts training to increase by leaps and bounds. The most important thing was Long Fei needed someone to protect this land. Just you alone? Bawang Hua was immediately startled and said, didn't you agree to it at the beginning? Bring us to the ancient holy battlefield. Yen Nantian was also startled and said, that's right, why did it become you alone again? Ancient holy battlefield is definitely 10,000 times more dangerous than Devil Island. Although we aren't strong enough, we can still help you a little. Boss, just bring me along. I promise I won't cause you any trouble. That's right. Bring us along. Entering the ancient holy battlefield is my life's dream. Bring me with you. Who doesn't want to go? Who doesn't want to see the larger world? Long Fei looked at the people in the great hall and said faintly, don't be anxious, just listen to what I have to say. The ancient holy battlefield is extremely huge, more than 10,000 times bigger than the Devil Island. Where is the entrance to the battleground? The main temple controls the light faction and the evil faction's entrance. These 2 entrances do not allow us to enter, so we can only look for the 3rd entrance. I'll go alone. When I find the entrance, I'll immediately come back to inform you. I need your strength. No matter how strong a person was, fighting for supremacy by himself was still a person. What Long Fei needed was a group of strong people entering the battlefield so that he could have a chance to win. In addition, the Devil Island's dome has been broken. All sorts of powers have been spying on us from the shadows. If you all leave, who will protect this place? Who will protect the common people here? I was able to become a deity through the achievements of billions of lives here. If something were to happen to them, what's the point? I need you to stay. Long Fei said seriously. The gold robe master took a step forward and said, Long Fei is right. The billions of lives on the Devil Island have made him into a god, but if anything happens here, his divine spark will fall, and our Devil Island will never be able to recover. Desperate Man asked, Young master, how much time do you need? Long Fei shook his head and said, I don't know. He had no clue about the ancient holy battlefield and did not know where to look for it. He did not know where to start either, so he could only enter the ancient holy battlefield to find a change. Wang Tai took a step forward and said, Brother Fei, bring me along. I should be the only one who is familiar with the ancient holy battlefield here. I can help you. He was a bandit. Although he had been in the Devil Island for more than 10 years, He knew more about the matters of the ancient holy battlefield than anyone present. Long Fei thought for a moment, then said, "Okay." Yen Nantian wanted to say something but hesitated. Lei Jiu wanted to say something but hesitated. Many people wanted to follow Long Fei to the ancient holy battlefield, but they held back in the end because, compared to Long Fei, the Devil Island needed their protection even more. Only by guarding the Devil Island could Long Fei go further. They finally gave birth to a god, but they did not want Long Fei to die. The short discussion came to an end. Long Fei left the Devil Island with Wang Tai. Everyone wanted to see him off. Long Fei said, "Wait for me, I will definitely bring you into the battleground." And Wang Tai disappeared into the horizon in the blink of an eye. Destiny God Mountain. Greetings, Son of God. It was once the residence of the Destiny God. However, it had now become Zhan Wushuang's residence. 10,000 meters underground. This place was normally isolated from the outside world, so no matter how strong the divine force was, they would not be able to sense it. The distance from here to hell was only a thin line. The erosion of the hell spirit had caused the divine power to be unable to sense the existence of this place. The soul cage. Zhan Wushuang stood in front of the cage and looked at the countless lights inside. No wonder Destiny God had always wanted to control the Devil Island. It's because he wanted to secretly cultivate the souls of the billions of lives in the Devil Island. If it's a dual rule, then he's definitely the strongest god in the main temple. But even before completely cultivating the soul controlling, you were killed by Long Fei. Destiny God. Oh, Destiny God, what should I say about you? Unlucky? Is it still bad luck? Ha ha ha. However, don't worry. I will take revenge for you, and I will make Long Fei suffer a fate worse than death. Zhan Wushuang moved his right hand, releasing a dense amount of soul force. All of the souls in the soul cage were trembling. It was like the whales of hell. Buzz. Zhan Wushuang's 5 fingers turned sinister. Boom. A ray of light flew out from the spirit cage. From the light, Jojo struggled with all his might. Zhan Wushuang looked at Jojo and said, "Phoenix Emperor, you are Long Fei's woman, right?" "Ha ha. From now on, Long Fei is your nemesis." Buzz. An idea was injected into Jojo's soul, and the struggling Jojo suddenly calmed down. Zhan Wushuang formed a hand seal with one hand, and the power of the law of fate quickly condensed. Boom. Half a quarter of an hour later, Jojo stood in front of Zhan Wushuang with an ice-cold expression and the power of a phoenix suffused within his body. She was now an ice phoenix, cold as ice. Thousands, right? From now on, Long Fei is your arch enemy. Boom. A cold light flashed in his eyes as his 1,000 bodies were reconstituted. Next, Long Fei's women were all remodeled one by one, and at the same time, their love for Long Fei was replaced with hatred, a variety of blood grudges. Zhan Wushuang looked at this group of women and laughed complacently. "Long Fei, I've said it before, what you give me, I will repay you tens of thousands of times. Now that I'm using your woman to kill you, are you going to kill me or not? What will happen when you meet them? Ha ha ha. It must be very interesting. I will slowly play with you, slowly play you to death." Zhan Wushuang said as he cut the nail on the wall. "All of you go with me. Long Fei has already arrived at the ancient holy battlefield. Go and find him and kill him." Zhan Wushuang moved. Jojo and the others quickly flew out. They began to frantically search for Long Fei. Zhan Wushuang looked at the enormous soul cage and said slightly, "Destiny God, the reason why you have yet to completely comprehend the soul controlling should be because you lack an extremely strong soul, right?" Is this the Long Fei you were thinking about? However, ha ha. Zhan Wushuang smiled slightly. Long Fei's soul is indeed strong, but there is another person whose soul is even stronger, Xian Yuan Li Air. Bitch, Laozi is here. Wait until I grasp the power of 3 of the laws. Then you, Long Fei, will be dead. Zhan Wushuang clenched his fists tightly. In the blink of an eye, he disappeared from where he stood. Brother Fei. This should be the ancient holy battlefield plain. This is called City of Martial Arts. Long Fei asked, How did you know? Wang Tai looked at the castle in the distance. I was abandoned here. Sorry. Chapter 1953. Rest assured, I will be the first one. Chapter 1953. Rest assured, I will be the first one. In City of Martial Arts, the city was, as its name implied, there was a martial stage in the city. It was also the only martial arts arena in a radius of millions of km and the only one in dozens of large cities. On the martial stage, a ranking board. Every martial artist had recorded that the higher one's ranking was, the higher their achievements would be in the martial arts arena. The top 3 martial artists in every year would be able to obtain the qualifications to enter the divine ranking. The divine ranking was an existence with the highest honor in the ancient holy battlefield. Brother Fei, this place is more realistic than the Devil Island. Everything depends on strength. Although there aren't people like you who can become gods through the faith of billions of lives, there are quite a few deities here, Wang Tai said as he looked at the city gate in front of him with a nervous expression. On the way, Wang Tai explained the situation of some of the City of Martial Arts to Long Fei. It was about the martial arts arena, about the divine list. Long Fei slightly nodded and said, I understand. God, very strong? Was he as strong as the destiny god? Noticing that there was something wrong with Wang Tai's gaze, Long Fei asked, What's wrong? Wang Tai said softly. The guards at the city gate are from the Wang family. The person in the lead. Wang Tai's eyes turned sinister. He involuntarily clenched his fists. The heavy sword wrapped in black cloth released sets of rumbling sounds. The surrounding people were slightly shocked. Next, everyone who enters the city must inspect them carefully. There are only 3 days left before the competition. This year, we will be hosting it with the Wang family. No mishap is allowed. Do you understand? The speaker was a young man. He wore a set of white armor with a white tiger head embroidered on it. It was very awe-inspiring. The aura on his body was also incomparably strong. At any moment, he would be able to unleash an extremely strong, explosive force. One glance was enough to tell that his cultivation was not low at all. It was just that. Wang Tai looked at him with resentment. Long Fei said indifferently, Do whatever you want to do. Now that you are my brother, no one can abandon you. Hearing Long Fei's words, Wang Tai calmed down instead. His aura relaxed, and he said, Boss, we are here to look for the entrance to Battleground. Although the City of Martial Arts is not a top-tier city, if you can enter the martial stage and then enter the heavenly ranking, you might be able to find the entrance to the Battleground, Wang Tai said. There are still 3 days until the martial arts arena competition. We can take a look. Long Fei could see the blazing fire in Wang Tai's eyes. He wanted to participate in the competition. If this was his hometown, Long Fei would also participate. He will use his strongest power to prove to those clansmen who abandoned him that I am back. Next, you too. The white armored man looked at Wang Tai, and his eyes tensed up. Wang Tai did not change his expression. Long Fei asked, What? Is there a problem? The man in white armor looked at Long Fei coldly. At this moment, another guard walked over and stared at Long Fei angrily and said, Brat, no problem. Can I stare at you a little more? Do you want to go into the city? Huh. Do you believe that I, your father, will make it so that you will never be able to enter the city again in your lifetime? Long Fei smiled faintly and said, I believe even more that if you said another word, you would be lying on the ground. You dare to make a ruckus with me, you motherf asterisk cur. Not waiting for him to finish, the white armored man immediately stopped him and smiled. There's no problem. You guys can enter the city. City of Martial Arts welcomes you. Long Fei smiled lightly and walked towards the city in large strides. After Long Fei left, the guard immediately said, Sixth young master, why did you stop me just now? I'll kill him in seconds for a country bumpkin like that. The Wang clan was ranked 6th, and they were known as the 6th young master. His name was Wang Jian, the White Tiger Sect's guard commander. His status in the Wang family wasn't low. Wang Jian looked at Long Fei and Wang Tai, who had disappeared into the crowd, and said softly, I keep having the feeling that I've seen that person before, but I just can't remember where I've seen him before. It's an emergency right now. People from all the major powers will be entering the city of martial arts. We can't affect the reputation of our family. Wang Jian said indifferently. He was still thinking about where he had seen Wang Tai before. Why was he so familiar? Dear guest, are you going to stay here or do you want to work here? Our inn has the best conditions in the entire city, and our inn has specially set up a gambling match that will be placed on the martial arts ranking board. In addition, on the night before the martial arts ranking, our inn has a large-scale auction. Anyone who is a guest of our inn can participate in it for free. How much for a night? It's very cheap, as long as it's 100 divine stones, and also has a VIP box, a luxurious suite that overlooks the entire city of martial arts. Only requires 9,998 divine stones for one day. Big brother, don't go. It's fine, even if we don't have that many god stones. As long as you have something to pawn, we can still exchange it for you. Would the two guests like to stay in the restaurant? The waiter stopped Long Fei and said, I saw that you two experts were here to participate in the competition, right? We have the most professional training facilities, and I am not boasting here. In the entire city of martial arts, there is nothing better than us, and we also have master's guidance. I guarantee that you will make a breakthrough before the martial arts competition. Wang Tai replied, We don't have money. The divine stone was the currency used in the ancient holy battlefield. It was another type of divine cultivation stone, similar to spirit stones. Long Fei said, We didn't bring the divine stone, but why don't you take a look at this sword and see how much it costs? The idea moved. Long Fei took out the god's holy sword-s that he dropped from Destiny God's body. A sword light flashed out. Wang Tai immediately shivered and said, Boss, this is a treasured sword. When the waiter saw the god's holy sword, his eyes shone. He grabbed onto Long Fei's sleeves and said, Boss, your sword? Not waiting for him to finish, a young and beautiful woman wearing hot clothes walked over. Looking at the god's holy sword in Long Fei's hands, she said directly, I'll take 100,000 divine stones. Wang Tai looked at her, and his eyes moved. They recognized each other at a glance. The woman also looked at Wang Tai, but it was just that. Her eyes were filled with disdain. With just a glance, he did not pay any attention to it. The waitress saw the girl and immediately bowed. Miss Chi. The woman looked at Long Fei and said, Sell 100,000 divine stones to me. His voice was cold. Seeing Long Fei's shocked face, a maid beside her sneered. Miss, he must have been scared senseless by 100,000 divine stones. Look at their clothes. They look like countryside bums. They haven't seen the world at all. I wonder where this sword came from. Maybe it was stolen. Long Fei grinned and laughed. How do you know that? I stole it. How? You don't accept it? The maid glared at him and coldly snorted, "One look and you are definitely not a good person." "Yeah. How? Bite me?" Long Fei was unhappy. The pretty girl said, 100,000 divine stones. Give me the sword." Long Fei coldly glanced at them and said, "I'm not selling." The pretty girl's eyes immediately turned cold. "In City of Martial Arts, no one dares to reject me, and those who do will usually die." Long Fei said straightforwardly, "Don't worry, I will be the first one." Chapter 1954, God's Commercial Alliances. Chapter 1954, God's Commercial Alliances. The woman was very strong. Long Fei did not buy it. Wang Tai, who was at the side, would look at the beautiful woman from time to time, his eyes revealing an indescribable expression. Joy. There was shock. Similarly lonely. It was very obvious that he recognized the woman with a single glance. However, the woman didn't even look at her. Her gaze was still filled with disgust and contempt. At this moment, "Sis, who's bullying you?" A man walked out of the inn. Wang Tai could not help but lower his head slightly. The servant girl beside Sienna pointed angrily at Long Fei and said, "Even he stole the sword from who knows where. My family's young miss has taken a fancy to it." Humph. The man looked at Long Fei and said slightly, "It is your blessing that Miss Sienna has taken a liking to your sword and did not care about face, or else the sword and the divine stone you would not be able to obtain either." Sienna was very strong. However, this man was even more domineering. The surrounding people began to discuss in low voices. "The young master of the Wang family. Wang Zhong isn't an ordinary person. He treats Sienna so well. Of course, that's his fiancée. I heard that in the past, Sienna's fiancé was not the eldest young master, Wang Zhong, but the second young master. That was more than a decade ago. Second young master has passed away a long time ago." Hearing the discussions around him, Long Fei's heart secretly shivered, and he thought to himself, "No wonder the way Wang Tai looks at Sienna is different. She was once his fiancée." However, Long Fei looked at Wang Tai. Wang Tai shook his head slightly. Long Fei laughed faintly. "I like to not care about face when it's given to me. Why do you think that you can do this to me? Brat, come if you dare." Wang Zhong's gaze turned sinister as he said, "You refuse a toast only to be punished." Suddenly, Wang Zhong took a step forward. Buzz! The entire supreme force in his body vibrated, and the vigorous godly power instantly surged out. The surrounding people were instantly forced back several steps. Long Fei didn't even move as he watched Wang Zhong's fist strike down on him. The corner of his mouth slightly curled up as he said, "You think you can stand up for a woman with a strength like yours?" Not waiting for Wang Zhong's fist to land, Long Fei slapped him hard. "Pa!" Wang Zhong fell to the ground and was slapped flat onto the ground. With his face heavily smashed into the ground, his entire body bounced up. Long Fei stomped on Wang Zhong's head again, coldly snorting as he asked, "Who gave you face?" 2 moves. The young master of the Wang family was one of the best among the younger generation. It was instantly crushed. The expressions of the surrounding people suddenly changed. Sienna's expression also slightly darkened, but there wasn't that kind of fear. On the contrary, there was an extra tinge of gloominess in her eyes. "You dare to make a move on the Wang clan? Is this kid crazy? Who is this kid? You want to die? Do you want to fight the Wang family in City of Martial Arts? My God! This kid is dead for sure." The corner of Long Fei's mouth curved up as he bent down to look at Wang Zhong, who was bleeding from the corner of his mouth. Wang Zhong glared at Long Fei and said, "Kid, do you know who I am? If you attack me, your time of death is up." Before he could finish his words, "Pa!" Long Fei slapped him again. What did you say? I didn't hear it clearly. It was incomparably loud. Once again, Wang Zhong was slapped to the ground. This time around, he simply turned into a dead dog and didn't move at all. Long Fei raised his eyes slightly, looked at Qi Xianer, and said with contempt, "Your fiancé is this kind of trash? If you can't withstand a single blow, why don't you? What do you think of my brother? Just be his wife and treat this sword as a greeting gift." Long Fei said with a smile. Wang Tai's eyes moved. Qi Xianer did not even look at Wang Tai, his eyes becoming colder and colder. Maid beside him mocked. "Who the hell is he? Is she worthy of my miss? Don't think you can defeat Wang Zhong just because you think you're amazing. This is the city of martial arts, not some countryside bumpkin." A cool breeze blew past. "Pa!" A slap flew out. Long Fei laughed. "If you weren't a woman, you would already be dead." The 5 finger marks on the servant girl's cheeks were clearly visible. She was bleeding from the corner of her mouth. Her eyes were spinning. She did not know how to block that slap, and even more so, did not know that Long Fei dared to attack him. The space between Qi Xianer's eyebrows tightened. The corner of Long Fei's eyes moved as he looked at her. He gave a cold and disdainful laugh. "So what if you pretend to be noble and noble?" Finished. Long Fei immediately threw the Heavenly King's sword to the waiter and said, "I will leave this sword with you. I will deduct it from this sword when I have time to eat. If I have money, I will redeem it." Finished. Long Fei then walked into the inn. Wang Tai looked at Qi Xianer. Qi Xianer was obviously looking at him with disgust. Finally, Wang Tai exhaled lightly and followed Long Fei into the inn. His heart was in pain, as though it was being torn apart. The waiter was grinning from ear to ear, but he did not dare to act rashly. He couldn't afford to offend someone who could instantly crush Wang Zhong without the slightest fear. Seeing Long Fei walk into the inn, he immediately said, "Young master, what do you think about this? The day after tomorrow, there will be an auction. If I auction this sword of yours, I will definitely be able to get a very high price." Long Fei waved his hand and said, "Do as you wish. Get us 2 top sweets first." The waiter hurriedly said, "All right, the 2 young masters, please follow me." Don't worry. Although the city of martial arts is a king, Qi and Zhao, 3 great families have control, but we, the gods' commercial alliances, cannot afford to offend them. As long as we are in the inn, the safety of the 2 of you will be protected by us, the gods' commercial alliances. They will not dare to do anything to you, but you must remember one thing: when we exit the inn, we will not be able to protect you. The waiter quickly said. Even he couldn't say it himself, but the feeling Long Fei gave him was very special. His intuition told him that Long Fei was not simple. The moment he made a move, he would become a holy artifact. When he made a move, he would crush Wang Zhong. Such people were either crazy, or perhaps he was the descendant of a certain powerhouse. Wang Tai explained in a low voice to Long Fei, "The gods' commercial alliances is one of the most famous merchant guilds in the primordial divine war. Every city has their own trade name. Gods' commercial alliances does all kinds of business, and once we enter their shop, we will be protected by their merchant union. Normal families would not be able to do anything to him. The World Merchant Union was actually a huge power. This power needed a strong power to support it, and countless powerhouses were worshipped by the Merchant Union. City of Martial Arts' family did not offend him at all." The waiter smiled. "This young master is right. The 2 of you can live here without worry. God's commercial alliances was far more than this. It was much more powerful than Long Fei had imagined." You're tuning into the Mystic Fist YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.